San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
And you have one last day with Skraby as your host here on the Braden Surprenant Show. Got Frank Marchese in studio with me today. I'm very happy to have Frank in here because we did some shows during the off season. He came in for some Skraby shows, which was awesome. And then he stayed for Sam Levitt's Inside San Diego Baseball. But I believe the last time Frank and I shared the airwaves together in this capacity was when we met in the middle with the Beaver Nuggets. That's the Beaver Nugs.
That might have been it.
Yes.
That might have been the last one.
It was the last one, actually. So I'm happy to have Frank in here today. We got a lot going on today. We are going to be talking to the Brewers play-by-play guy. We're going to be talking to Sam Levitt. We're going to have some fun. We're also going to be playing a little bit of a game a little bit later, Frank tells me. So we have lots of good stuff planned for this last day that I'm filling in. Braden's going to be back on Monday, everybody. He has not been fired. Before the chat gets started with that whole thing, he has not been fired. He's going to be back on Monday. Now, Padres have a massive weekend ahead of them, and I know that it's June 6th, but I woke up this morning thinking, all right, they split with the Giants. They won the 2 games that they weren't supposed to win, and they lost the 2 games that they probably should have won. And now they're going to Milwaukee with a team that's won 9 out of their last 10. And they had an off day yesterday as well, while the Padres did not have an off day. Christian Yelich has been on fire, and it's going to be an uphill battle for this series, mostly because they're still without Michael King. And so Randy Vasquez is going to be going tonight for the Padres. Chad Patrick is going to be pitching for the Brewers tonight. He's 3-4 in 12 starts, 2.97 ERA. So get ready for a low scoring game, I would hope, between Randy Vasquez and Chad Patrick. But let's go back to yesterday real quick, because Chris and I talked about it after the game, and we both came to the same conclusion that this team right now, with the players that it has on its roster, it cannot afford to make mistakes like they did yesterday. Top of the 7th, Jose Iglesias thrown out at second without sliding. Top of the 8th, Fernando hits it to center field. Brandon Lockridge does not tag up. Those are the things that are going to lose you games, and they're going to lose you games in the big games. And the Padres, they are not hanging on, because they definitely have talent on this team, but they are trying to make it through this period right now without some of their best players. But I am a little encouraged from what I saw yesterday from Fernando, from Jackson Merrill, and that's the encouragement comes from them hitting the ball real hard. Fernando hit his ball in the 8th inning at 108 miles an hour yesterday off the bat, which we talked about this stat, but there was 15 balls that have been hit to that part of the park at Oracle Park, and 14 of them were hits, and the 15th ball was Fernando's and caught. So he got a little unlucky. His expected batting average on this, Frank, I don't think I've ever seen this. 960, which expected batting average isn't an exact science. It doesn't take into account wind and weather and all that stuff. But basically it's saying that Fernando had a 96% chance of getting a hit on that. And it just tells me how unlucky Fernando has been as of late. And I think that recently, with what he's been doing by hitting the ball, he had another one the other day, 111 off the bat. He's contacting the ball, and I feel like he's getting his swag back, because he did the little bat flip yesterday, which I talked to some of my friends in the Bay Area, and they were like, why did you do the bat flip? I'm like, well, because he hit the ball as hard as he could. He thought it was going out. That's why he did the bat flip. And you guys got lucky that it didn't go out. And Fernando, though, he's looking better at the plate. And I really, really like what I'm seeing from him. Jackson Merrill yesterday in the 9th inning. Yes, it was a flyout, but he hit the ball at 105 miles an hour. So he, has been looking lost, but there is some contact there. In the 9th inning yesterday, the three, Manny Machado hit the ball at 107. Jackson Merrill hit the ball at 104. Gavin Sheets hit the ball at 108. So these guys are making great contact. They're just not able to have those hits fall in the right direction just yet. But Frank, this Padres team is going to play a Brewers team that is very good right now. And they have Christian Yelich. They have Jackson Churio. They got a lot of guys that are going to be challenges for the Padres. I think that the Padres are up for the challenge. These seem like the type of series that they end up playing really well in when their back's against the wall. But I don't know how they can. I don't know what exactly they're going to look like this weekend in regards to starting pitching.
It's going to be a rough weekend as far as starting pitching, because and again we'll talk with Jeff Levering about it at the bottom of the hour. You have Vasquez, Kolek, and Bergert as your weekend starters. That, especially towards the back end of it, a little bit rougher. You have a lot more questions as far as Bergert goes. He pitched fantastic in his first outing, but it was his first one. There's more coming. Kolek was fantastic in his first outing as well, and he has been since. But still, there's a lot of questions as it comes to the back end of the rotation. Yeah,
a lot of questions. Michael King, no update on him. Yu Darvish, no update on him. So they're gonna be without them for a little bit longer. I just think that right now, because they can't afford to make these mistakes, like they really need to play the small ball that they've been playing to the extreme. They need to take every single chance that they can get by moving the base runners, by sacrificing sacrifice bunts, stuff like that, just so they're not trying to come back down 2-3-4-0. And that's where they get in trouble. And so when they're playing their small ball, like they can do very well, I think that that's their way to win this series.
Oh, absolutely. And it's easier said than done, because as of these last couple of weeks, it has not been good. They have a minus 38 run differential since they won 21-0 against the Rockies on that Saturday.
For whatever reason, that Rockies night where they won 21-0 is the turning point for everything.
It really has been downhill ever since then. They've only managed to score more than 5 runs in a game 5 times in those 23 games since then. So they have not been scoring. They have not been hitting. They went 6 for 32 with runners in scoring position this series. That's not great either. And that's a problem that they have had. They had that long 0-for streak not that long ago with runners in scoring position. So they really have to get back to that mantra of just move the line, keep the line moving. Injuries aren't helping with that, but every team has those. Just got to do what you can, find a way to keep the line moving.
Exactly. That's what they're designed to do. That's what they have done. That's what they can do. But sometimes they get away from it. And sometimes they end up down late in the game and they have to make these furious comebacks. And I said this a couple days ago, and I tweeted it out after they lost. You can't walk the tightrope every night and expect to win. And then I got a lot of responses of, well, can't expect to give up 6 or 5 run lead. You're right. You can't win when you give
Absolutely.
up a 5-run lead. You just, it's not something that you do when you win. And it doesn't bother me. The whole thing with yesterday with Dylan Cease, like I get a lot of messages about different players, and Dylan Cease is one of those where no one is like overly angry at Dylan Cease, but they're also like, I thought this guy was great.
Yeah, it's the confusion.
But I don't think that he's been that terrible as of late. I mean, he was bad. I can't even say he was bad. I think that he struggled to begin the year a little bit, and then he found it. But he went 5 innings yesterday. He gave up 3 runs. He should have been out of that inning. It was a close call on whether the umpire would call that ball a strike, which would have ended the inning, and it would have taken the runners off the bases. But I don't think Dylan Cease has pitched bad. That wasn't the problem yesterday. The problem was not Dylan Cease. Manny Machado puts him on the board 2-0, and Dylan Cease ends up giving up those 3 runs, but then they didn't do anything the rest of the game, and that is what lost the game for them.
It's been the offense recently. It's been the lack of run support. The pitching has kept them in the game. There have been times where the bullpen, I think back to the the Wednesday game against Miami, where the bullpen just kept gagging it up, kept giving it back. That has been more of an issue as of late, but the offense this last month has just done a full-on disappearing act that we just have no answer for right now, and they don't have an answer for it either, and it's getting frustrating to say it over and over and over again, just in the same way it's getting frustrating to hear it over and over and over again. That it's just baseball. These things happen.
Yeah, and I guess if you're a Dylan Cease, not apologist, but whatever the opposite of apologist is, hater, Dylan Cease hater, you could point to the 2 walks that he gave up in that 3rd inning that ended up coming back to bite them. You could do that, but I don't put that much pressure on I don't think that Dylan Cease should shoulder all of that pressure. I think that when you give up some runs early in a game, and you are only down 1 run, I think he's putting them in a place to win.
Yes.
And so I don't really understand where the Dylan Cease hate comes from. I think Dylan Cease, Chris said this yesterday because we were talking about the problems right now with the Padres. And the Padres have problems with their roster because of injuries right now. Left field, they need a new left fielder. That's a whole separate thing. But Dylan Cease is so low on the list of what's wrong with this team right now that I don't even think about it, because if he goes out there and does what he did yesterday, I think they get a win, 7 times out of 10.
He is low on the list, but as we'll talk about a little bit later on, he's moving up the list. As far as problems. He's moving up the list as far as problems on this team.
Hey, he also got hit by a 104-mile-an-hour comebacker yesterday on his arm, which he ended up finishing the inning. So tough guy right there. But that was scary to see, because that looked like I was thinking broken elbow, something like that, which would have been terrible for the Padres, because they cannot afford to have any more issues with their rotation. But that was yesterday. We are going to flush the Giants series. They split. Now they go to Milwaukee, and we're looking forward to this series, and we're looking forward to seeing the Padres get on track. And like I said, I feel like they play these types of series well. Like when the deck is stacked against them, when they have all this stuff that's swirling around the team with injuries and things like that and bad losses, it seems like they play their best. And so that's what I think we're going to get this weekend. And when we get back on the Braden Surprenant Show, I'm Matt Skraby. That's Frank Marchese. We are going to talk about what their travel was last night and what the Brewers did yesterday, because I think these types of things have a big deal, or make a these travel oddities in the schedule do affect teams. And because I work with Tony Gwynn Jr., I know what time he gets there. And so we'll talk about that when we get back here on 97.3 The Fan. Frank and I doing a little bit of communicating behind the seats here. Matt Skraby filling in for Braden Surprenant on 97.3 The Fan. Frank Marchese on the board. Today, we're going to be talking to Jeff Levering, the Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster in the next segment. I want to ask him about how in the world this team has completely turned it around, won 9 of their last 10. Christian Yelich is hitting nearly 340 in the last 15 games with 6 home runs and a bunch of RBIs. I don't like the timing of this series whatsoever for the Padres. And I didn't even mention in the last segment either that Luis Arraez, we don't know the status of him. We don't know the status of Xander Bogaerts, which people are going to and laugh at me. But if they lose Xander Bogaerts for an extended period of time, this is going to be a very bad thing for the team, because now you got Jose Iglesias at shortstop every single day. And if Luis Arraez isn't playing, who's playing first? Do you move Jake over to first? Do you put Tyler Wade at second and then you put Iglesias at short? Like, that is going down the rabbit hole a little bit, because we don't know the status of Luis Arraez and we don't know the status of Xander Bogaerts. But these are the things that pop in my head when I wake up at 3 a.m. and think I got a show in 7 hours. And so I'm like, oh no, what are they going to do if Luis Arraez? And then anyway.
Don't wake up at 3 a.m.
I can't, Frank. It's not in my brain. Like, once I go to bed, I think about the show. Like, in this new schedule, which I've talked about a couple times, it is so weird for me, because in the afternoon I have all day to think about what we're going to talk about and let the day develop a little bit. Here, I have to be ready to go at 10 a.m. when I step in here. And so I wake up at 3 a.m. and I think about Luis Arraez and Xander Bogaerts and how bad the team is going to suffer if they're not on the team because they're injured. So that's the kind of crazy brain I got going on. And it's my last day filling in, so I'm going to go wild.
Probably shouldn't be thinking about Luis Arraez and Xander Bogaerts at 3 o'clock in the morning, but hey, you do you, bud.
That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I also think about Mike Schilt at 3 o'clock in the morning. I also think about Fernando at 3 o'clock in the morning. I also think about all of them.
You just keep digging that hole deeper that I made for you. You just keep going right down the hole.
I think about David Morgan at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll just keep going. But actually, I did get a really, really nice text this morning from my sister. She had her baby, so I'm an uncle once again.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. 3rd kid for my sister, 4th niece or nephew. Well, now we have a nephew. 1st nephew in the family. So James Thomas is the name. And I'm not going to give the last name because my sister won't even let me post pictures of her kids on my Instagram.
There's no Matthew in there. I couldn't help but notice.
Yeah, there's no Matthew, but there is a Thomas, and my dad's name is Thomas.
Okay, that's fair.
But they did not name the baby after my dad. And so I made sure to let him know that in a text message this morning. I said, just remember, Dad, they did not name the baby after you. Okay. My brother-in-law is Irish. And so all of his family's in Ireland. And since they haven't had a boy yet, they decided to take his dad's, he was adopted. So his adoptive dad's name and his real dad's name. And that's James Thomas. And so that's why they did that. But I think it's hilarious. I get to hold that over my dad's head forever. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. Padres. Let's get back to them, though, because that's what I was actually waking up for at 3 a.m. Manny Machado yesterday hits his 350th home run. And Mike Schilt talked after the game yesterday about Manny Machado, and I didn't get to hear this yesterday, but Frank, Mike Schilt was talking and was asked about how locked in Manny Machado is right now.
I just like the approach. If he has an at bat or two or a couple, which is hard, there's always a plan for the next one, and you can just tell what he's doing, how he's doing it, and he's got his approach matching that beautiful swing. I mean, look, that swing he put on Duvall in the ninth. I mean, the homer off Ray. Ray was good, man. I mean, there was some pitching in this series, Jack. Ray was good, scooped him out of there, and stayed on top of that fastball away to Duvall is a great sign. So Manny's clearly in a good place.
He is clearly in a good place. It was nice. Like Tony's always said, when Manny is hitting the ball the opposite way, that's when you know he's locked in. And it almost seems like Manny is just right now. It seems like he is one with the bat. He just is able to hit everything, and he's locked in. And he has been locked in all year. He's had a little bit of struggles, but not really struggles enough for us to really talk about. But he's hitting over 300. He's starting to hit for power. I mean, he's been great this year, all year long. And so for the Manny haters out there who think he's not clutch and all that stuff, without Manny Machado, this team is nothing.
Oh, absolutely. 100%. He has been the best hitter start to finish. Well, start to where we are now.
Yeah.
For the Padres this season. He's been over 300 the entire year, which again, it's not something that we're used to seeing him doing. We usually once the schedule kind of turns to June, now is when he starts hitting. Now is when he starts hitting for power. It has been all year. It has been constant for him so far this year, and he's having, as we brought up on your show on Wednesday, he's having an MVP caliber year. If everything stays the way they are, Padres make the playoffs, he could be in the MVP conversation this year.
He could. And I see these complaints, and I haven't really been on the chat today, so I don't know if anybody's saying this today, but I see these complaints yesterday, and Chris had the same complaint about Manny, and he would say, well, Manny didn't tag up or try to at least tag up in the ninth inning to go from first to second on that deep Jackson Merrill fly ball. And I'm like, are we just looking for things to be mad at?
That sounds like
I don't understand. Like, why is that a topic of conversation? Because number one, I'm not a baseball historian, but I don't think that happens as often as we think. I don't think many people can go first or second, let alone Manny Machado. I don't understand why we keep finding reasons to be mad at Manny. The reason that Manny's season probably isn't being talked about as much as it should be is because they haven't been able to capitalize on some of his big games. Same with Gavin Sheets. They always lose the big Gavin Sheets games.
And the few, unfortunately to say, Fernando games that we've seen here recently, they have not been able to capitalize. It's just been an overall overarching problem with this offense, that one guy gets hot and then just the rest of the team just cannot pick it up. And the starting rotation's done their job. Bullpen, for the most part this year, has done their job as well. It's been a constant struggle with this offense, especially since that 21-0 game 5 days ago, that they just have not been able to get it right.
Yeah. And I think if this weekend if they don't take this series this weekend, I think that there has to be some lineup changes, because Manny can and cannot carry this team on his own, because Brandon Lockridge, not an everyday player.
No,
you know, he's a great guy off the bench. He's a good defensive replacement. He's a good base runner. Tyler Wade, even though I love him, he's my MVP. He's not an everyday player. And these guys, like Manny Machado, can make up for one of those guys, but I don't think he can make up for two of those guys, three of those guys. He's doing his best at making up for those guys. But I mean, that's like when someone texts me or DMs me and said, this team is awful, I'm like, give me the reason why they're awful. Well, they keep losing close games. Well, they've also won some close games too, and they've been missing some of their stars this year. They made it through a stretch without Jackson Merrill and Jake Cronenworth, and then Luis Arraez for 7 days. Like, this team is good. They're able to withstand some of the stuff that happens through a season, but like the expectations are just insanely high for everyone. I don't understand why people can't understand that this team is not a complete team right now because of injury.
And as I mentioned on Wednesday, I think it was, this team started off so hot. When you go 14-3 in your first 17 games, you are in the stratosphere as far as what you should be able to do. This team has come crashing back to earth, back to where we expected them to be before a pitch was even thrown this year in spring training. We expected this team to be a middle of the pack team in the NL West. We expected them to be fighting for the third wild card spot. That was
I did
where
not expect that.
that was where this team was projected to be. And now they're there.
I would push back on the third wild card spot, but
Second or third.
yeah,
We'll give
we
it that.
definitely came into the year thinking the division was out of reach, and it could still be out of reach because there's a lot of games left. There's over 100 games left, and that's a lot of time for both teams to go on runs and or go on losing streaks as well. But excuse me, my allergies are getting the best of me today. My voice is all crazy.
Attaboy.
But yeah, so when we went to break, I was talking about the schedule oddity. So last year, because I'm a nerd and I track the Padres playing, and it's not because I have a control freak issue or anything like that.
You don't have a control freak issue.
I love flightaware.com. You can look up different routes. You can find these things. I am not going to publish how I find this plane because you can go do that if you want to. But I looked last night right before I went to bed. They had not even landed yet. And so they got in probably around midnight Central Time. They are probably getting to their hotel around 2 in the morning and getting their bags and getting into their rooms and everything like that. Well, the Brewers had an off day yesterday, and the Padres obviously did not have an off day. And so last year I went through the schedule, and there were 2 instances where the Padres had to play a later game and then go fly east without having an off day. First instance was April 14th. They played the Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. I think we all remember when Jurickson Profar, Mr. Irrelevant, cleared the bases with that double off the top of the fence. That was that game. But they had a start time of 4:10 p.m., 2 hours, 58 minutes, gets you on the plane around 9 p.m. Pacific. You fly to Milwaukee randomly. They're going to Milwaukee, or they're in Milwaukee today. You don't get there till like 3 or 4 a.m. Central, and that's not even to your hotel. Then you have to go and play a game. And last year they beat the Brewers 7-3 in this current situation, so that's a good thing. The second instance was May 20th. They played a doubleheader against the Braves in Atlanta. They won the first, lost the second, and the second one ends at like 8:40-ish p.m. Eastern. Plane 11, we'll say, fly to Cincinnati, get in around 3 in the morning. They play the Reds and they lose 2-0. And I remember that Joe Musgrove pitched a very nice game, but they looked in that game a little lethargic. And that was probably because they just got done playing a doubleheader in Atlanta. But why I'm bringing this up is because this schedule cannot, this part of a schedule cannot be ignored. And all teams go through this. All West Coast teams go through this. But these are things that they face that we're not actually bringing up. And I know that by talking to Tony, it's not easy. It's really not that easy to go from San Francisco to Milwaukee overnight, get up and just play a game. And that's what they're facing today. But last time they did this and they flew to Milwaukee, they won 7-3, Frank.
There you go. I think that's all you need now. Lock it in.
Lock it in. That's right.
Skraby says lock it in. So it's his fault on Monday. If
lock it in. I don't know what I'm locking in, but I'll lock something in.
Lock in a win.
Lock in a win. All right, Matt Skraby filling in for Braden Surprenant, Frank Marchese here as well. When we get back, we're going to talk to Jeff Levering, the I hope I can pronounce Milwaukee when he gets on the show. Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster. We'll ask him about what's going on with that team. We'll ask him what he thinks about the Padres a little bit, and we'll talk to him next on 97.3 The Fan. We're going to talk to Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster Jeff Levering here shortly on 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby, filling in for Braden Surprenant. He will be back on Monday. Frank Marchese here with me as well. And while we're waiting to get a hold of Jeff Levering, I want to bring up one of these scam texts. Have you gotten these recently, Frank? I know everybody gets
I'm
these.
sure I've gotten a bunch of them.
Do you know how I know this is a scam? It says, when I went to Southern California, you said you'd take me surfing and hiking. Tell me you don't know me by telling me you don't know me. So I didn't even open that text because I've never told anyone I would take them surfing. Maybe I said hiking. Definitely not surfing.
You said it, not me.
Definitely not surfing. I was actually talking to someone about surfing the other day, and I have tried it in my life. I have. I did a whole summer of surfing because I really wanted to get I wanted to catch the bug. I wanted to be a surfer because it's number one, great exercise. You get outside. I'm just not I'm a water person. I am not an ocean person at all. Not an ocean person. And it was a summer of me falling and nearly drowning and seeing stingrays that scared me. So I don't think I've been in the ocean since.
I can't remember the last time I was in the ocean. I do not remember the last time because I don't go out because that means I have to interact with people, which doesn't usually go well with me. But yeah, I cannot remember the last time I've been in the ocean.
When was the last time you were at the beach?
Last time I was at the beach was about a month or so ago, but I wasn't like at the beach. I was just kind of there. I didn't like go for a beach day. You didn't like step into the sand? No, I walked the pier in Imperial Beach.
Okay. All right. Well, does that actually count?
I was at the beach.
Okay.
Like I just wasn't at the beach.
Have you ever before said, or have you ever tried surfing before or anything like that?
No.
Okay. I think you should try it.
I think you should.
I've already done it. I've told you that. I've already done it. Okay. Anyway, the ocean is not for us here in studio.
No. Well, I mean,
I don't know that any of us on the station are really ocean dwellers.
I mean, I don't mind it. Like, I'll go out on boats. That's fine with me. But I'm not like hey, I have some free time. Let's take a swim kind of guy.
Yeah, I'm not a take a swim either type of guy. Like, whenever I see movies and there are like characters that get up and just jump in the ocean and go for a swim, I'm like, that's not real.
Like, this is how Jaws started.
Yeah, it is how Jaws started. Someone took a swim and they ended up getting eaten by the shark.
Yes.
All right, we're going to talk to Jeff Levering here in just a second. But Chad Patrick for the Brewers, just kind of looking through some of his numbers and some of his games last night, and he's not a bad rookie whatsoever. He has a 57-18 strikeout to walk ratio in his 13 games this season, 63 and 2/3 innings. That is not what we want here as a Padre fan, because that is something that we see a lot. We see the Padres facing these guys that we have never heard of before, and we see them struggle to hit. But I'm seeing on the chat that I'm dooming. I don't think that I'm dooming at all. I'm just bringing up the facts. Like, someone said I was dooming because of the travel. Oh, you've already told them they've lost the game before they even played it. That is not true. That is not true, because I said that they beat the Brewers last time this happened. But Chad Patrick, they're going to have to get to him early. What the Padres need to do and what they are successful at is when they get into the bullpen, they're really good at making things happen. And we saw it in San Francisco. They get to the bullpen, and Camilo Duvall gives them the game basically on, I believe, Tuesday night, and then tried to give them the game yesterday. And if I was dooming, I would be like, those are the losses that are going to keep you out of the playoffs. And I'm not saying that at all, because there's so much time left. Though these are the losses that I'm happy that they're doing right now, because we don't want these losses later in the year. It hurts a little bit extra because the Giants are a division opponent, and the division is already hard enough to win as it is, and they need those tiebreakers. And so that is why these last 2 games are extra bad for them to lose. But overall, they still are 9 games over 500. And I don't find a problem with where they are right now.
No, but if you want another silver lining out of this series and out of these last 2 games, while you didn't gain any ground because it was a 4-game set, you didn't lose any either. So San Francisco is right where they were now that they were at the beginning of the week when you started playing them. So it's not great when you could have had a 2 or a 3 game gap on them. You didn't lose anything to them, which I think is a little bit more important.
I get that. I do. The one game I will say that they lost was Wednesday's game when they had a 5-run lead or a 4-run lead.
Yeah,
and that one got away. You can't lose games like that. You're going to lose 1-run games. That is going to happen. And that's something that the Padres are actually in 1-run games. They're really good. And I like my chances in a 1-run game with the Padres, and they won 2 extra inning games this week already. I'm not dooming people. Prolific says Skraby already saying it's going to be bad without Xander and Luis. Shaking my head. That's dooming. That is not dooming. That is reality and factual. So I don't understand why people aren't seeing or hearing what I'm saying and thinking, yeah, that's just a fact. Like if Xander and Luis Arraez are out of the lineup, then it's going to be bad for the team. That's just a fact. It is. I'm also being accused of flip-flopping from last night to today, and I don't think I'm doing that at all, because someone said you were agreeing with Chris when he was pointing out the base running mistakes like Iglesias as well as Machado and Lockridge not tagging, and now you're saying it's nothing bad. That is not what I said. I said those are the games those are the mistakes that lose you games. Like, people hear what they want to hear, Frank. They hear what they want to hear. They're always going to hear what they want to hear. And because it's Friday and because I woke up at 3 a.m. thinking about Mike Shilton, Manny Machado, I'm fired up today. And I am ready to take on anyone who is going to get in my face. So if you're going to get in my face, I'm going to get in your face. Oh, I need to take a breath, man.
Probably should. It wouldn't hurt you.
It wouldn't hurt me. My heart needs to, go back to a little bit of normalcy here. So I'm going to woosah. Woosah. All right. I've woosah'd. We're trying to get a hold of Jeff Levering of the Milwaukee Brewers. So we will do that as soon as we can. If we can't, no big deal. But we will get there. Rob Manfred. Actually, real quick, let's talk about what happened with the NBA Finals last night. So Pacers, OKC pretty much had that game handled the entire time. And then at the end, Halliburton sinks that shot with like 0.3 seconds left, and the Pacers steal a game from OKC. And that, if you're an OKC fan, you got to feel a little sick about that, because it was the turnover ratio was pretty insane for this game. And if you're going to turn the ball over as many times as they did, I'm trying to find, I had it written down. I was ready to go. Let's see. They had 6, 9, 11, 16, 17, 20, 23, 24 turnovers the Pacers had last night, which you should win every single time if you turn the ball, if you're the Thunder and you create that many turnovers. But Tyrese Halliburton is very, very good. Very good. All right. Let's see. We're pivoting now. It's okay. Frank is going crazy on his phone right now, trying to track everyone down. Frank is feeling the heat that I feel all the time, which there's no heat involved. But what I was going to ask Jeff Levering is about Christian Yelich. He, as I said, is starting he started slow, but in the last 15 games, he's taken it to another level. He's hitting nearly 340 with 6 home runs, and he's been huge for that team. And I think he's calling in right now, sir. But, well, we're going to ask him right now, actually. So once Frank gets in there. Oh, hi. Is this Jeff Levering? Are you on with us, sir?
Yeah, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Sorry about that. The old phone numbers and all that stuff getting lost in translation.
No, I've definitely heard this before because our phone number, we have tried to get it so that it doesn't it looks like a bad number, and so we're trying to fix that.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know.
It does.
Well, thank you for giving us a call back. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just want to start with this, Jeff. Brewers, they've won 9 of 10 lately, or after struggling to start the year. What has been working for them all of a sudden?
I tell you, it's a combination of everything. I mean, if you look at who's been hurt, who's been active, who's not been active for the Brewers, you'd say there's no way this team is even a 500 team. And the way the Brewers have been playing, they're a few games over 500 at this point. It just feels like the guys that they've run out there in the starting rotation have all hit, which is great. Chad Patrick, who's going in the game tonight, he's put himself in the Rookie of the Year candidacy within the first 2 months of the season. And the offense has not been outstanding, right? They've missed a lot of the home run clout. They've got some guys that have hit the ball out of the ballpark, but it's not consistent. So they've found different ways to win ball games. A lot of base stealing. They're second in the big leagues in stolen bases. They put pressure on the defense, and that has kind of limited slumps in terms of their offense. But they've just found ways to win. They've been very aggressive, and they put pressure on the opposing defense and the opposing pitching stabs, and it has been really good here recently. 13 wins in their last 16 or 17 ball games, and it's all from different pitchers too. There's only one repeat winning pitcher in that time span, so it's pretty remarkable the run that they're putting on right now. Yeah,
they are definitely being the Brewers that we thought they were going to be. We're talking to Jeff Levering, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster on 97.3, the Fan, the Braden Surprenant show. You guys have Chad Patrick throwing tonight, and so far in his rookie year, he has been pretty good. What are your thoughts on him so far?
Just a lot of command, and he's not afraid of anything. It's not wow you stuff. It's cutter, it's four-seam fastball, and it's sinker, and you're going to get that 98% of the time. He's been sprinkling in some changeups and some sliders recently, but it's a variation of the fastball every time he goes out, and it doesn't matter who the hitter is or whoever he's facing. Dude's fearless, and he's been really fun to watch this year grow up, and I think the Brewers have allowed him to go deeper in ball games here recently, because he's shown his ability to get himself into and out of jams if he needs to. There were times where he was going 4 1/3, 4 2/3 innings, or 3 2/3 innings. Definitely don't face a lineup a third time. Now, last time out, 6 innings. Now, he had a ton of run support against Philadelphia. The team scored 17 runs when he was out there on the mound.
That helps.
But they trust him. Yeah, it certainly helps when you get 17 runs behind you. You can pitch with a ton of confidence. But he's been great. And a guy that nobody really expected to not only break camp with the team, but have, at this point, 12 starts as we turn the calendar over to the month of June.
Talking to Jeff Levering here, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster, 97.3 The Fan. I want to talk about Christian Yelich real quick, because Christian Yelich has been one of those players who MVP caliber and then struggled with some injuries, and he started slow this year, but in the last 15 games, he's really taking it to another level. He's hitting nearly 340, 6 home runs, I think 15 RBIs. What was the change for him?
I think just trusting himself. He had the back surgery last year that cost him the final 2.5 months of the season. And he had somewhat of a normal off season this year coming back from the injury. But I think it took him some time to trust that his back was going to be all right. The other part of it is he's done the majority of his playing time as a DH. And that is a huge mental hurdle that someone who's never done that every day needs to conquer. He's figured out, and it took some time, but he's figured out what he needs to do in between at bats. So he's not just sitting there and stewing on if he got out in his last plate appearance, what he can do to be better. I think he's figured out his rhythm and the way that he needs to go about his ABs in the course of a day. That's a big part of it. The other part is he's not hitting the ball on the ground as much as he was early on in the season. If you look at the stretch, it's balls in the air, and typically when he hits the ball in the air, it's going to get out of the ballpark. But it's a lot of line drives, a lot of solid contact, and he's walking a lot more. He was not walking. He was striking out a ton early on in the season, but now he's balanced his way back to what he was at the beginning, the first 4 months of what he was last season.
Talking Brewers with Jeff Levering, Brewers broadcaster, 97.3 The Fan. And we have our own Jackson here in San Diego. You guys have your own Jackson out there in Milwaukee. And Jackson Chourio was really good last year. He didn't get as much run in the Rookie of the Year race that I think Brewers fans wanted to see. But do you think that is something that is fueling him, or what makes him tick? Because he's an interesting guy to me.
Yeah, the first 2 months of last season, there was a lot of conversations, not just in Milwaukee, but around the league, and why is he still up in the big leagues? There were a lot of people that were calling for him to go back down to the minor leagues, but the Brewers made a decision, sink or swim. This kid's going to stay in the major leagues, and it paid off. After June 1st, he was one of the best players, not just for rookies, but in Major League Baseball. And this year, he's had some ups and downs, and he's trying to figure himself out at times. He's playing center field now, which he had never done in his life. He's a converted infielder, so him being in the corner outfields last year was still a challenge for him. So moving over to center field after Garrett Mitchell got hurt, that's a big learning curve. And you saw when he was in there every day in center, his production dipped offensively. Now he's starting to feel comfortable in center field. Production is going up, and I don't think that's an accident. I'm not sure whether he's fueled by the fact that he was third in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. I think that's where he should have been. And Jackson Merrill more than likely should have won the award if it weren't for Paul Skeens and what he did for the final few months. But I mean, Jackson Merrill from day number one until the end of the season was as consistent a player as there was in the big leagues. And for Jackson Chourio, he did it for the final 4 months. So there was 2 months where he wasn't the best player. So I understood why he finished in third. But he's still 21 years old. He's a young kid. He's the youngest player in Major League Baseball right now. He's still just trying to find his footing and where he fits. But man, is he talented.
He's very talented. Talking to Jeff Levering, thank you so much for your time today. I have one more about Pat Murphy, your guys' manager, and he won Manager of the Year for the National League last year. When Mike Schilt took over the Padres, we kind of saw a switch in the mentality of the team. What kind of mentality has Pat Murphy instilled in this team?
Well, Murph was the bench coach before he became the manager, and that can be a tough transition. It's almost like you're the substitute teacher, and then all of a sudden you're the principal, and your voice has to change. But for Murph, he kept treating everybody the same, and that's the way it should be done, right? It should be you're the same person no matter what every single day. And he talks a lot about his failed opportunity as the interim manager in San Diego as a huge learning situation for him. He went into that situation as a AAA manager. He gets the big league call. There's a really tough roster to try and manage in terms of player personnel. And he walked in and he said, well, I'm going to do it my way. And that did not work out so well. And then you saw the ramifications of it and what transpired in San Diego after the 2015 season. But for Murph, as soon as he stepped into Milwaukee, he's been the same guy. And even though he's the manager, he has more things that are on his plate. He still allows the players to police themselves. And Murph will be the first one to tell you, listen, I get the accolades and I got Manager of the Year, but my players make me look a lot smarter than I am. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. But I also think he doesn't give himself enough credit. He's a great human being. He's a great baseball mind. He can go on some tangents that are a blast, and you're going, wow, where's this going? I have no idea. So let me tune in a little bit more. But he deserves all the credit that he's getting, and keeping the Brewers train on the tracks this season has, for the first 2 months, has been a Herculean task. And he's done it not just with the wins recently, but he's done it with grace, and he's been able to keep his mentality where it needs to be for this team.
I lied. I have one more quick question, and we're starting to talk about the trade deadline here in San Diego. What are the Brewers, you think? I know it's probably too early to tell where they're going to go, but do you think that they'll be active at the trade deadline this year, trying to acquire some guys to complete this team?
The Brewers have always been aggressive come the trade deadline, especially when they've been in it. They have some flexibility within their payroll if they needed to add. I'm sure they will. It's just a matter of where they feel like that fit is. And the Brewers have been very consistent in the last decade of making sure they get the right person. It's not just, okay, well, this guy could really help our team, but if he's not going to be good in that clubhouse, it doesn't make sense. So the Brewers are going to be I have a sneaky suspicion that they will be very active in the next 2 months. But who that person is going to be, that's a great question.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jeff. Appreciate you picking up our phone call, even though it looked like a bad number. And hopefully we have a good series ahead.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's Jeff Levering, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster here on the Braden Surprenant Show, 97.3 The Fan. Thanks to him for picking. Like, I've heard a couple times from guests before that our number comes up a little weird. So I've told Adam we're working on it. But Jeff seems like a very lovely gentleman, and I am happy that he gave us a call back. So thank you to Jeff for joining us. All right, we're going to head to break because we are over. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. I'm Matt Skraby. That's Frank Marchese. Back with more Oh, there's some music. Okay, back with more Padres talk on 97.3 The Fan. All right, I feel shot out of a cannon today, and I said the word shot. Okay, everybody, before we get any people typing it in the chat. Oh, Skraby said this. I feel like I'm shot out of the cannon today. Also, I think it's because I went with a venti iced coffee with 2 espresso shots. So I think that's the problem, Frank.
I'll strap you down. Don't worry.
Yeah, I need to be strapped down because I am fired up right now. And if you're going to come at me in the chat, you better be ready for me to come back at you or on the phones or anything like that, because everybody's saying I'm flip-flopping. I may flip-flop sometimes. I'm not going to say I don't flip-flop because that's not true. I do. But I wouldn't call it flip-flopping. I would call it more of developing the conversation in my head. And so I don't know about you, Frank, driving is when my thoughts come to me, which is the worst time for it because I cannot write it down. But I think about certain things that I've said on the show, and then I kind of revise it a little bit. That's why I've come back saying that I've been too hard on you, Darvish. I don't think that it's exactly flip-flopping, because you can evolve your thought and opinion over time. In the moment, I may be saying one thing and then I think about it for the next 12 hours and I feel a different way. I guess that might be the definition of flip-flopping, but I don't call it an actual flip-flop.
The best way to do it, at least that I've found, is to talk to yourself, which I do that all the time, which made me realize I'm not as interesting as I once thought I was. But no, it's sometimes as you think and as you sit and think about a situation more, you tend to think about more things, and you tend to pick up on an angle that maybe you didn't have before. So it's evolving your thought.
Yes, evolving the thought is what I'm calling it. Everybody else is calling me a flip-flopper on the chat, which is fine. You can call me a flip-flopper. That's fine. I guess Braden calls it a windsock.
No, being a windsock is just going with whatever the popular thing is to say. That's
okay.
being a windsock.
Well, that's definitely not me.
Just not having an opinion, period, and just going with whatever is being said.
Oh, going where the wind blows,
yes.
Kind of thing. Okay, I'm definitely not that. I'm the contrarian of Gwen and Chris. I mean, everything naturally just is contrarian for me. But I think it's okay for all of us to evolve our thoughts.
Exactly. That's how you grow as a person.
Yeah, I don't think that's something I say. Okay, let me take that back. When I say it, I believe it. I believe everything that I say. I'm not just saying things just to say things. And I do change my mind from time to time, which I keep saying these things. And in my head, I'm like, that is a flip-flopper, dude. And I can't get out of it. But I don't want to call it that.
No, being a flip-flopper is saying a year ago, yeah, this is the greatest contract that the Padres have ever signed for you, Darvish. And then coming back on today and going, I've always said that this is the worst thing that the Padres have done, was to sign you, Darvish, for this. No, that's being a flip-flopper.
I have always said that Xander Bogaerts has the best contract on the team. I've always said that. I'm going to go on that side. Maybe it will motivate. Maybe some sort of good juju will get out there. I don't know.
I could see the smoke from how much flip-flopping that's going on there with that one.
I should just be wearing flip-flops right now. I'm not, Chris comes in here in flip-flops almost every day, so he's the flip-flopper. But
Skraby is just adjusting his cranium to the moment, says Gonzo in the chat.
Adjusting my cranium to the moment. I do kind of like that.
That's a fantastic one.
I like the word cranium. And anyway. All right. Let's talk real quick about some of the guys that are on the IL. In the next segment, we're going to be talking about the automated ball and strike system. Might be coming, may not be coming. Also, Rob Manfred all of a sudden realized that the deal that he had with ESPN for TV was a good deal. And now he regrets not going forward with that deal. So we're going to talk about that on the other side. But Rob Manfred, he keeps proving to me that he is a windsock.
He's a numpty is what he is.
A what?
A numpty. It's a nicer way of saying an idiot.
Okay, I don't think that's nicer. It's a more
it's
jarring word.
No, it's nicer because again, you had no idea what it was. So I could have called you a numpty. You had no clue. You'd have thought it was something good, and you just move on.
My mind went straight to Humpty Dumpty.
Close.
Okay,
It's in the Umpty family.
Okay, it's in the Umpty family. I like that. All right, the injury bug, as we've talked about in the first hour, has hit the Padres hard. As I said, Yu Darvish, Michael King on 15-day IL with no timeline. Matt Waldron, Brian Hoeing. Matt Waldron has been optioned to AAA. So
he's off the rehab assignment.
Yes,
now.
he's off the rehab assignment. Now, Brian Hoeing is someone who we've been hearing about all year, and he's going to be a long relief guy. They need a long relief guy. They also kind of have a long relief guy now in Sean Reynolds if they want one, because he seems to be able to go he's definitely able to go 3 innings if the pitch count works out and all that. But Brian Hoeing's going to be a pretty good addition to this team when he gets back. I haven't heard much on him recently, but everything that I've read has him trending in the right direction. Jason Hayward is also still on the 10-day IL. I'm not sure when they're going to bring him off of that, if they're going to bring him off of that. And then Xander Bogaerts has an issue with his shoulder blade, I believe, his scap, or is that, no, that's Michael King. Michael King's got the scap problem, but Xander feels like he maybe, I can't say re-aggravated last year's injury, but it feels similar to last year's injury for him. So we're not sure about Xander Bogaerts for tonight. Also, Luis Arraez left the game yesterday, and because he's on my fantasy baseball team,
he'll be gone forever.
I've been researching like crazy, trying to figure out what's going on with Luis Arraez. And a lot of what I read about Luis Arraez is that they were being cautionary by taking him out of the game.
Yeah, and Mike Schultz said it during the post game, and I have a little bit of sound here. As we have a couple minutes, we can extend the segment a little bit. But
you are the producer.
Yeah, I do. I am.
Okay.
So you know what? We're going to play this sound then, since I'm the producer.
So
I'm
this
in
is
control.
Mike Schilt with injury updates on Xander Bogaerts and Luis Arraez.
He's got the proverbial day-to-day. Had a weird movement on the ball down the line, just kind of grabbed in the back of his knee. Again, not overly concerned, but clearly there is concern to some level, and wants to evaluate how he feels moving forward. But we're hopeful just in more of a day-to-day situation, but we'll know more in 24 hours.
The ball when he was running down the line on the grounder?
No, it was the ball that went to his left. He made a nice play on in the 4th.
That's right.
And after that, I kind of looked and saw something and came in. And then when he went to hit, just couldn't get down the line as well as they liked.
What's Sanders' status?
Similar to Louis, different ailments, actually, clearly. But wasn't really available today. Super, crazy emergency, maybe get him out there. But we're really intentful to get him a full day. And we're hopeful for tomorrow, but it'll be an evaluation.
Sounds like you're relative, maybe optimistic is the wrong word, but day-to-day for both Bogaerts and Arraez.
Yeah.
With both of them dealing with something, could there be a need for a move of some kind, or do you have too early to say?
I think it's probably too early to say. I think we're optimistic on both, but not out of the woods on either. I think we got our arms around Bogey and what that looks like. I think it's more of a rest situation day to day. Could flare up and be something more serious or stay with him longer. Louis, we're still in the exploratory stage, so I don't want to be too optimistic. But I'm an optimist by nature.
I like that about Mike Schilt, that he's an optimist by nature. Just puts out good vibes. But that update right there about Luis Arraez is not as good as I would have, as good as I read on the internet out there, on the fantasy baseball websites, saying that, it was just precautionary.
Well, it was, and he more or less said that it was precautionary, but when it's like a leg injury, you pull something, you twist something the wrong way, it's one of those things where you kind of just take it minute by minute, see what happens. Luis Arraez is an interesting one this year, and we talked about it on the roundtable, and we talked about it last night on Gwyn and Chris. But when we get back, we'll talk a little bit about Luis Arraez and what he has done for the team this year, and where he stands in this lineup, and whether or not they need to move him around, because
We'll get into all that on the other side. I'm Matt Skraby. That's Frank Marchese. I'm filling in for Braden Surprenant on the Braden Surprenant Show. He will be back on Monday from his trip, so he is going to probably have a lot of great things to talk to Frank and all of you about. But when we get back, a little bit of Luis Arraez talk and then some Rob Manfred talk on 97.3 The Fan. Matt Skraby filling in for Braden Surprenant on 97.3 The Fan. Frank Marchese here as well in the Odyssey Palace. And we are going to talk about Rob Manfred in this ABS system for 2026 in just a second. But got to talk about Luis Arraez for a second. And here's what we talked about on the roundtable yesterday, Frank, and on Gwyn and Chris. But Luis Arraez, like, he is... I love Luis Arraez. I think he's great for this team. But, you know, people were getting in my ear all offseason about how Luis Arraez doesn't fit on this team. And I thought that was, I didn't think that was a correct statement. I think that he does fit on this team, but I think he fits on this team when he is hitting like what he did last year. And he hit, let's see, on the Padres, he hit 318 last year. When he's hitting 320, Luis Arraez does fit on this team, but he's hitting 282 this year, and that's not good enough for your second hitter, for your first baseman, and I believe that he's going to get to where he usually is, and so that means that he'll have a hot streak at some point, but right now, I don't know that he is... I don't want to say not helping, but I don't know that he is helping the offense in the way that he was designed to. And I think that's a problem. As soon as he is able to turn it around, he'll be, I hate to use it this way, but he'll be more valuable to them. But when he's hitting 320, it works. When he's hitting 282, it doesn't really work.
I mean, it's not all that far off. I mean, you take a look at any other hitter in the lineup, you'd take a 282 season.
Yes, you would.
And that's a 282 season starting how he started. What did he go? For his first 21?
It was pretty crazy, actually.
So the fact that he's gotten it up to 282 so quick and has been so close to 300 as long as he has been, that's a pretty good run. Now, is he getting to 3 hits a game the way we're used to seeing? No. But he's getting on base. He is trying to do his best. It also feels kind of hard to say that a guy that's in the lineup right now, with the way the lineup is performed, isn't fitting. Because right now, no one's fitting in this lineup.
No, that's except for Manny.
Yeah, except for Manny and
maybe
even
Gavin
Jackson.
Sheets.
Even Jackson's fallen off, and Sheets. It's been one hot week, really.
That is not true.
No. He's had a really hot week where he's done a lot. He's helped here and there. He has had his moments before that. What's his average right now?
Sheets?
Yes.
263. Better than you thought,
average player. It's one for 4 every day.
We didn't ever think that Gavin Sheets was going to be hitting 300. I was going to be happy with 250.
Right, yeah, 1 for 4.
Yeah, and he probably is going to end up lower than 250, I would think. Gavin Sheets right now in the last 15 games hitting 212, 5 home runs, and 15 RBIs. Last 7 games hitting 158, no home runs, 4 RBIs.
I just saw it in the chat. Hold on. Wait a second.
Because Gavin Sheets, like, we didn't think that he was going to be this on-base machine.
No.
He was supposed to be the power of the lineup.
Jay McGee in the chat, Arraez has 0 power. You didn't get Arraez for power.
No.
He's a gap hitter. That's what you got him for. He's the guy you can put the ball on the grass. That is what you got him for. You didn't get him to hit 40 home runs.
No, you definitely did. It's the same with the catcher position. Whenever someone says the catcher position needs to go, this was the deal with the catcher position coming into the year. They knew that these guys weren't going to be great hitters. They were going to handle the pitching staff well. But Luis Arraez, not a power hitter, and that is a problem if he is not hitting in the gaps. Even when he does, which is strange to me because Petco Park is a park that's built for gap hitting.
Yeah, it's not a power park.
It's not a power park. And Luis Arraez, though, when he does, this is why I think they need to move him down a little bit in the lineup, because I've seen it a couple times now, and ever since Chris pointed it out, and I'll use what Chris said, he clogs the bases, quote unquote. And I've seen it a few times now where he goes up, Manny Machado gets a hit, and it hits double, and Luis Arraez stops at third because he's not fast enough to get around a home on that double. So we've talked about the lineup moving around a little bit, and if Luis Arraez is not 2, I definitely don't want him 1. But if Braden said this on the roundtable weeks ago, move him to 4, and then you have a guy who's a contact hitter who can drive in the first 3 if they get on base, or
Four's
the next
a power
inning,
spot though.
the next inning, you can have Luis Arraez lead off. So then you're getting him at the top of the order for the next inning. You say 4 is a power spot. Jackson Merrill is not a power hitter.
He just got to 4 though.
But he's been at 4 for a little bit though. They're using him as the power hitter.
He's got a lot more pop than
He does.
Arraez.
He does.
He has the ability to hit 20, 30 home runs a year. Merrill does not. Arraez does not.
I agree with that. But right now you got Jackson Merrill who's struggling in the 4th spot. I'm not someone who wants to move Fernando ever out of the leadoff spot. I know other people do want to move him out of the leadoff spot. I think that he's good in the leadoff spot. I think he'll figure it out. As we talked about when we opened the show, I have good feelings for Fernando with the way that he is hitting the ball right now. He's hitting the ball hard. He should have had a home run yesterday. It was very unlucky that he didn't. Again, 14 of 15 balls hit to that area in the park were hits, and his was the only out. And that's just unlucky. I like where he's at in the lineup, but I think you have to think about moving around Jackson. Maybe dip Jackson back down to 6. Maybe get him going a little bit. Put Arraez at 4. I don't know. I think that this weekend, I think will possibly force the hand of Mike Schilt if they don't have a good weekend.
That's really the problem with this team as far as wanting to move the lineup around. Where do you move some of these guys to? You're going to be comfortable with Cronenworth hitting second, Bogarts hitting second. So if you move Arraez down, who hits second? Then who hits 4th or who hits 5th, depending upon who you decide to move up? That's really kind of a big problem right now. Is I understand you want to have guys, you want to spread your hits throughout the lineup. You don't want it to just be a top-heavy lineup because then the bottom is just an out waiting to happen. It's a 1-2-3 inning waiting to happen. The way this team is constructed and the way this lineup is constructed, where they are hitting is really the only place they can hit that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you change a lineup that doesn't work if you change it?
You change it because it's not working.
But if it doesn't work more,
then you have to figure out something else. I mean, at some point, you're going to have to try something new. And I'm not a big, like, it needs to be the same lineup every day guy, because I don't really necessarily know that it matters to these guys. But it does matter when Manny Machado hits a double and Luis Arraez is stopping at third instead of scoring because there's not a faster guy in front of Manny Machado. Like that, those are runs that they need. Those are runs that teams will get because they have a guy who's able to get around the bases fast enough.
No, and I agree, and I do see that point. And Death by Palm Tree in the chat,
I love that name. By the way.
I know the lineup doesn't work right now. I'm saying the lineup doesn't work right now, but with it not working right now, if you change it, you've got a bunch of guys. Again, would you be comfortable with Xander Bogaerts hitting second right now? Would you be comfortable with Jake Cronenworth hitting second right now?
I might take a chance on Jake. I might.
Okay.
I might.
So we can see that.
But
would you want to see Sheets batting 4th and Merrill 5th?
I don't know that Sheets. I think that Gavin Sheets has already hit higher in the lineup, and it hasn't gone well for him. I think Gavin Sheets is in the place where he needs to be, but I don't. You know what? Gavin Sheets has enough power. If you put him as a cleanup hitter,
he'd be an okay 4 hitter.
But
right
there's
now.
a reason they're not doing that for some reason.
Yeah,
there's a
it
reason
doesn't work
for some reason. Well, okay, the definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Then put him 4th.
Maybe we'll see.
Put Merrill fifth. Put Cronenworth second.
We might have the Walking Dead of Padres in the lineup tonight if they don't get some of these guys back from injury. That's a doomer comment if I've ever heard one.
Yeah.
I believe in this team.
There.
I really think that they're going to win this series because this is when they play their best baseball, when everybody gives up on them and everybody believes that they're not going to win, and then they end up sweeping a series, taking the series. I mean, the Brewers are good. The Brewers are very good. And I think that these guys don't want to go in to Milwaukee and get swept. And they're probably feeling like their backs are up against the wall a little bit. I know if Tony was here, he would disagree with me, but you can't have a losing week this week because you're going into another crazy stretch of 7 against the Dodgers, 3 against the Diamondbacks. Then you got the Royals in there as well. They have to feel there's a little, in my mind, there's a little bit of a sense of urgency for them. A little bit. And when I say little,
I don't think it's a sense of urgency to win games necessarily. I think it's a sense of urgency to at least get the ship righted, or at least
get
start
it moving
to
in the
get
right
it
direction.
righted before the Dodgers come into town. I think that would be the sense of urgency.
I can agree with that. We are giving away Dodgers ticket.
We are
not
giving
Dodgers
away
tickets.
tickets.
I'm sorry. That was blasphemous of me to say. We're giving away Padres tickets to when they play the Dodgers next week.
On Tuesday.
So we'll get to that in a little bit. When is that, Frank? It's at 12:45, I believe.
That's whenever you want it to be, but
12:45 it is.
Well, 12:45 is our game.
Oh, it's our game. Okay. Just stay tuned because we will have those tickets for you.
We will give Dodger tickets away at some point.
You just blasphemy too.
Sorry. I'm going to say it's the team coming in. That's so if it's like we're going to be giving away Royals tickets soon, I'm sure. Because I think it's a given that we're going to be giving away Padre tickets.
Okay.
I'd rather know who they're playing.
You know, I heard Ben Woods this morning say they want to make sure they fall into the right hands because there are Dodgers fans listening.
Yes, there absolutely are.
And we can't really do that because it's against the law for us to handpick people when we're supposed to give them away randomly. So I'm just hoping that we get a bunch of Padres fans calling in. All right, let's go to break. On the other side, we will get to this automated ball and strike system thing with Rob Manfred. We'll also get into Rob Manfred and the ESPN deal. Sammy Lev will join us at noon, and we'll go from there. This is Matt Skraby filling in for Braden Surprenant on 97.3 The Fan. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers in just a second in the sports thread, but Andrew Perloff's little 30-second minute right there, or 30-second minute, that makes no sense.
Well, no, it's called
Sports
it's
Minute.
called the Sports Minute.
Sports Minute. I couldn't be more underwhelmed by Steelers Jets to start the year. Like, that does not really get me excited for the first weekend of football.
Come on, dude, be pumped.
I'm not going to.
It's the NFL, man.
What is wrong? Who is that? What is that voice?
I hate the NFL.
You do?
I cannot stand the NFL.
How did I not know this about you?
Yeah, it's how can I miss you if you don't go away? And the NFL never, ever, 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 ever
I was gonna say
goes away.
Okay, all right. We'll talk about Aaron Rodgers in a second, but I did not expect for that opinion from Frank. I thought I don't know why I didn't know that Frank is not an NFL fan.
I like football. I like college football. I can't stand the NFL.
Well, you just endeared yourself to a bunch of people out there, because a lot of
Thank
people are not NFL fans here in town. I just saw on Awful Announcing, Ben Higgins was talking about the
Yes.
story of the Chargers coming to the University of San Diego to practice, and that's just dumb. It is just dumb.
Agreed.
I don't like, in this case, for a long time, and maybe the last like 2-3 years, I've said, all right, it's time for me to move on from making fun of the Chargers. It's time for me to move on from doing all that stuff. But then you go and you do something like this and totally not redeem yourself.
Just when you make it's kind of hard to, especially when you make it so easy.
So easy. So easy. Like, this is dumb. I don't understand this. And there are going to be people that are going to go out to this. And I'm not saying that you're dumb if you want to go to this. I'm saying that the Chargers thinking this is a good idea for like I was reading, I saw this story on it's like Bolts Beat or something, that fan blog that they put up, and at the end it said this is the olive branch that the organization needed to extend to San Diego to start winning fans back. You're going to drive fans further away by bringing the team here. You're going to drive them further and further away. We can talk about that a little bit later, but that's crazy to me. We don't want you. You left us. That's how I feel about that right now. It's kind of crazy.
We're extending the olive branch. Yeah, we broke up with you, but we're
like,
welcome back.
How long have they been gone? 7-8 years now?
Right around there, yeah.
They have done nothing in that time to show that they care about San Diego whatsoever. So why now? Are they realizing that they're not getting the fans that they want in LA?
The best thing that the Chargers have done since leaving San Diego is draft Justin Herbert for the mane of hair that he had, and then immediately had him cut it off.
They had him cut it off?
Well, it's gone ever since he got there. So I'm going to say, yeah.
Have you ever worn a football helmet? Your hair gets caught in it all the time.
I have worn a football helmet.
And did your hair get caught in it?
I don't remember. It was a while ago.
My hair got caught in it. That's why I shaved my head when I was in high school playing football. I wasn't good at football or anything. Anyway, real quick, this Rob Manfred ABS challenge system thing. He said yesterday or Wednesday, I'm sorry, he plans to introduce a proposal to Major League Baseball's competition committee that would bring the automated ball strike system to Major League Baseball in 2026. Apparently, ABS appears likely to be arriving in the big leagues next year. A couple weeks ago, it was reported possibly that ABS was not going to be headed to the big leagues in 2026, but it is. And the league office has enough votes on the 11-person committee to push it through if it wants. And Manfred said, I do think that we're going to pursue the possibility of changing that process, and we'll see what comes out at the end of that. He says, I do have that unscientific system that I use, my email traffic, and my distinct impression that using ABS in spring training has made people more prone to complain about balls and strike calls via email to me, referencing the need for ABS. That is undoubtedly true. I'm fine with ABS. I have no qualms about it because of the way it's set up, where you get 2 challenges and you can't just challenge on every single pitch. But I don't like people complaining into ABS. ABS should be put in place to make sure that the calls are being right, not because people are angry that they didn't get the call going their way. It should be to help the game instead of help a team. You know what I'm saying, Frank?
There's parts of the ABS system that I like, and parts of it that I don't like. I don't like the 2 continuous challenges until you get 2 wrong.
Yeah, you get your challenge back if you're right.
That feels like way too many. I think 3 challenges
total
period is good. I think that, because then you really have to pick and choose your spots,
which I find it fascinating.
Yeah, like
strategy behind that.
Like that fifth inning borderline call that Cease didn't get. That would have been
a challenge.
That would have been one of them. I don't like that you keep getting them back when you miss one.
Well, Rob Manfred also said that they could adjust the way that they do it throughout the year. So maybe they feel like 2 is too much, or maybe they give 3 and that's it. You don't get any if you get it right. But I don't mind it coming. I just don't want it to cause more controversy. Oh, well, you had to go to ABS for that. So anyway. All right. You ready, Frank?
I am ready.
Okay.
Let's do this.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
I'm assuming that's the first time you've heard that open?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's not. I always laugh at that one part where he says, disaster!
Yeah, no, that is fantastic. But you know what else is fantastic?
What?
Number 1.
Commissioner Adam Silver said on Thursday night the NBA will discuss expansion at next month's Board of Governors meeting in Las Vegas, and that he believes the league owners will recommend the topic to be formally explored. Speaking at his annual news conference ahead of Game 1 at the NBA Finals between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Indiana Pacers, Silver said he hopes to, quote, take the temperature of the room regarding expansion at July's meeting and believes that there is enough interest among owners to take the next steps in the process. Silver said, quote, there's been no lack of interest. I essentially have said to people from several different cities, we're not, or just not engaging in that process right now. How many teams do you think expansion should get to?
0.
Really?
Yes. I already, the only reason that a league wants to expand, and I'm saying the big leagues, like the 4 big ones, the NHL, the NFL, the Major League Baseball, and the NBA. The only reason that they want to expand is to make more money. And because there's more of the pie to go,
of course,
there's more money to go around. That's the only reason. There's no good reason for this. There's already so many teams in the NBA, like 16 teams make it to the playoffs on each side. Like, and they already have too many teams making the playoffs. The only reason for this is for the money of it all. I don't need another expansion team.
I would say if you would have to put one in the East and one in the West, I would say.
Well,
and
yeah,
I think the West it's obvious. It's Seattle. That's the obvious
spot for it,
to bring the Supersonics back. The only question is, where in the East would you put one? Put one in Nashville?
Well, I was just about to say Charlotte. I don't know why I was
Close.
All right, let's go.
Number 2.
NHL Commissioner Gary Bettman said something I'm sure he never thought he would say in his time as NHL Commissioner, that CBA talks have been going well and have been professional and cordial.
Okay.
He said, quote, "We started a little bit later than we had anticipated for a variety of reasons, but both sides, but I don't have an announcement to make today that we have a deal." Bettman said hours before Game 1 against the Florida Panthers and Edmonton Oilers, quote, "We have more than a year to go, and I think we're really in a good place in terms of our relationship. This is the same league that has locked out 3 times under Gary Bettman because they could not get a CBA. What has changed between Gary Bettman and the NHL that we are not in the talks of a lockout?"
I believe that Gary Bettman is leaving the NHL as the commissioner in the next couple years.
That could be it. Maybe he wants one. But wouldn't you think one good parting piece is a lockout, nice lockout that we're known for?
No, he doesn't want that. He probably sees the light at the end of the tunnel, and he's like, I want to go out with people feeling good about me. I don't want to go out with people hating me. Rob Manfred's going to be stepping down soon, and his whole thing is the TV deals, and I have a feeling that these are all going to go really bad for him. But I think maybe perception of everything coming to an end for Gary Bettman and having a finite deadline maybe changed it for him.
Something that we've talked about quite a bit over the air recently. People change over time.
Yes,
So
that's true. That's true. I've heard that.
Maybe old Bettman's getting a little bit softer in
Maybe
his
he's a
older age.
flip-flopper.
Maybe he's a flip-flopper.
Number 3.
Billionaire private equity investor Justin Ishiba is in line. That's what I said. Is in line to become the next owner of the Chicago White Sox, according to a news release the team had yesterday.
Yes.
Say the name again.
Ishbia.
Thank you. 47 and current owner Jerry Reinsdorf, 89, have entered a, quote, long-term agreement. Okay.
Ishbia.
A term agreement, we'll say, with an 89-year-old in the process that could lead to
Ishbia
taking over the team as soon as 2029 or as late as 2034. I put money on 2029. Is this a sign that something could possibly be changing in the right direction for the White Sox?
I don't know. Originally I thought, yeah, it would. But then Chris reminded me that Matt Ishbia is the brother of Justin Ishbia, and Matt Ishbia owns the Phoenix Suns and the Phoenix Mercury, and he has not done really anything to help them. So
he has racked up quite a good bill of attorney's fees, though, from what we've heard.
That's a different guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's a different guy. But I think Justin Ishbia I think Reinsdorf is doing this because they're going to put money into the franchise to pay down debts right now. And so they want that cash. It's a capital infusion is what they're calling it. And so this was the only way, I think, for the Ishbia family to feel good about putting money into the White Sox, knowing that they have the opportunity to own the team when it's done, when Reinsdorf is passed.
Which he's 89, which is why I say,
hey, people live forever nowadays, Frank.
And unfortunately, it's the worst people that do.
Number 4.
Like the next person, Aaron Rodgers has agreed to terms on a 1-year deal with the Pittsburgh Steelers. The team announced on Thursday, ending months of uncertainty around his future and uniting the future Hall of Famer with a club that desperately needs a quarterback. The Steelers said the contract is pending a physical. News comes after more than 80 days after the start of free agency and 70 days after Rodgers visited the fabled Pittsburgh Steelers. Is this a good fit, or is Rodgers just going to flop again?
Flip-flop? No,
just flop on his face again.
I don't know that he actually flopped last year. I think there's a lot of problems with the Jets, mainly
that's
their owner.
A given.
I said they're not going to make the playoffs. This is not going to help them. I don't understand this move. I get it. They don't have a quarterback, and he's probably the best option for them at the moment. The Steelers are in a really bad spot in the quarterback position. I think that he's going to butt heads with Mike Tomlin. It just doesn't seem like something that's going to work to me.
Yeah, no, I don't see it working either. And hold on, I have to. I didn't realize because CBS Sports, even though we are somewhat of a CBS affiliate, CBS Sports really does not like when you have an ad blocker on.
Oh.
And even when you turn the ad blocker off, it still doesn't like that you have the ad blocker on. But the college football playoffs have been announced.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
Dates and times have been announced for the college football playoffs. National championship game, mark your calendars, will be Monday, January 19th at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time on ESPN. That is the date and times for the national championship. The two semifinal games will be on the 8th and 9th of January. That's a Thursday and a Friday, same time, same place. Quarterfinals matches are going to be on New Year's Day in New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Orange Bowl. Those will be at 12, 4, and 8 p.m. all on, guess which network?
ESPN.
Very good. Which one are you most excited for?
None.
That's not the national. Real? Oh, wow.
None.
Okay. Never mind.
None. I know. I just am tired of seeing 12 SEC teams. I know that's not true. Before I get the DMs about it, I know that's not true. None. Sorry.
Well, there you go. There's your answer.
Yep, there's the answer. All right, Sammy Levis is going to join us when we get back here. Baseball coverage on 97.3 The Fan is presented by T-Mobile. Head to T-Mobile.com and get a great deal on an iPhone 16 Pro. Talking to Sammy when we get back on 97.3 The Fan.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
One last day of Matt Skraby in for Braden Surprenant. He will be back on Monday. This is 97.3 The Fan. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. We got Frank Marchese here. We also have our guy, Sammy Lev, is with us from his house. And, your new place, Sam. I'm looking at it right now. It looks very good. There's, I think, a vacuum in the background. I think you're getting stuff cleaned up. What is that thing? What is that right there? Over
a vacuum?
Over your right shoulder.
This is a lamp.
Oh, it didn't look like a lamp. It looked like a vacuum.
Why isn't it turning on? That's weird.
Uh-oh.
Maybe
power issues at Sam's new place.
Is it not plugged in?
I don't know.
I don't know. Nobody cares.
Yeah, nobody cares about the lamp except for me and you. How are you doing, Sam? What's up?
I'm doing well. Enjoying a little June gloom here in OB today. Enjoying my morning and getting ready for another night of Padres baseball, this time in the Midwest in Milwaukee.
How are you feeling about this series coming up?
It's a tough series for the Padres. Brewers are playing really, really well. They're arguably the hottest team in baseball right now. They've sort of totally turned around their season with the way they've played over the last few weeks. And they face a guy in Chad Patrick tonight who is probably not a name that a lot of us know. I didn't know a whole lot about him before I dove into some of the prep for today's pregame show, but he's been really, really good. And this offense for the Brewers is doing some really good things. Jackson Churio is red hot. Christian Yelich is red hot. So this is a tough series. Brewers didn't get off to a good start this year, but they're playing a lot better and have sort of vaulted themselves back into the wild card race. So this is a tough series. And then obviously the Dodgers coming to town, and then you've got more divisional games and 7 coming up against the Dodgers. So this is a tough stretch. We knew that coming in, and the Brew Crew, they're playing really well right now.
Now, we were talking about this a little bit earlier, but I have good feelings about Fernando turning this around because of the way he hit the ball in San Francisco. And he got really unlucky with that ball he hit in the 8th inning, not going out of the park. Everybody thought it was out, including Fernando. But, when someone's hitting the ball well, is that an indication to you that they're close to breaking through, or is that just, it's just bad luck and Fernando has bad luck this year?
I would say typically it's an indicator that they're close to breaking through. I think the last couple of days we've seen Fernando show signs. We had the 3-hit game. That was his first 3-hit game in more than a month. Obviously, yesterday hit a ball really hard in other ballparks, and on a different day, that's a home run or at least an extra base hit. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. We'll see. I mean, obviously he is very, very important to this team. Him playing better would go a long way in curing a lot of the Padres' offensive struggles, or I should say inconsistencies as of late. I do think it's a sign for Fernando. I hope it is, because quite frankly, we haven't seen him make that kind of quality contact with a ball in quite some time. And I don't blame him for thinking he got all of it, because really by the metrics he did.
Yeah.
And again, another day in another park, it probably ends up being a much better result. So you hope so. But Fernando's got to go out there and continue to swing the bat a little bit better. But I do think in the last few days, maybe you've seen some signs of Fernando finally breaking out of this slump. Yeah.
Are you a little worried? We're talking to Sam Levitz, our Padres pre- and post-game guy here on 97.3 The Fan. Do you have any worries about these injuries that popped up yesterday? Maybe Xander Bogaerts, Luis Arraez. I don't know that Xander Bogaerts is going to be playing today, but they have options that they can pivot to. What I was saying earlier is, even if you don't like Xander, If you don't like what he's doing at the plate, he's been good defensively, and that would be a loss for them.
Of course. Well, I mean, here's the thing. For any fan out there, that is like, oh, well, no big deal because Xander hasn't been playing that well anyway. Well, tell me who exactly is taking his place in the lineup that you're more excited about. And that's, no disrespect to Iglesias or Tyler Wade. Look, Xander is not what, to this point, not what you hoped he would be based on the contract and based on the player he was with the Red Sox. But I think in a lot of ways still brings a lot and brings, a steadiness to that position for sure. I think defensively for sure, even if you want to say, okay, his range is maybe a little bit more limited than it used to be. Regardless, I think having Xander in the lineup is a whole lot better than not having Xander in the lineup. So, and you want him in there, and the Padres want him in there. Now, my level of concern with the injuries, I don't know, out of a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at like a 5 because neither sound overly serious. But with that said, if both are out today, and we'll see what the lineup is, or both are going to be out at least for a few days, it's going to put the Padres in a really, really tough spot because they don't have a ton of depth. And if they're not going to put one of them on the IL, then it does beg the question of what you're going to do today with your lineup. Luis certainly sounded confident that he was going to play today. We'll see if that remains the case. But if both are out of the lineup today, it puts you in a pretty tough spot. And I sort of wonder how patient the Padres could be to see if those guys could avoid an IL stint. So as far as what the injuries appear to be, I'm not all that concerned. But because the Padres, if they don't have those two guys for even a day or two, it puts them in a really tough spot. I think because of that, it raises my level of concern. And it kind of makes me question the amount of patience the Padres can have keeping those guys kind of day to day if they're not starting today, let's say, and we'll take it from today on. So I'll put it like a 5-ish.
I think that's fair because, like you said, there's no reason to be overly concerned about it because they don't sound overly concerned about it. But it is something because they might miss a game. Who knows? Randy Vasquez pitching for the Padres tonight. I like Randy Vasquez, even if he puts some guys on. I like how dramatic it is when he's pitching because there's always something going on. He's a traffic cop, but obviously it would be much better if he didn't put guys on base all the time. But I think Randy Vasquez is proving that he is a big part of this rotation.
Yeah, look, I think Randy, this year it's been a little bit different because they've been dealing with injuries, and I think he's been forced, kind of upwards in the rotation, whereas, you're probably looking at him when they're fully healthy as a back into the rotation kind of guy who I think in some ways Randy is what he is in the sense of he's, and again, just proof in the pudding here, he's very rarely going to have an outing where he just goes 6-7 strong innings, 2 hits given up, no walks, and he's absolutely dominant. To this point, that has not been who Randy Vasquez is. The question for him continues to be when he gets in trouble, can he get out of it enough to put together a really good start? And the answer to that question for the most part this season has been yes. Now, his last start against the Pirates wasn't great. 3 innings and a third, 4 earned runs given up, gave up 2 home runs, 6 hits. He walked 3. That was kind of the bad version of Randy, but the really good version has shown up a lot this season where you look at it, he's going 5-6 innings a lot. He is giving up hits. His command before that start against the Pirates had been a lot better. He only walked 4 in a span of 4 starts before that start against Pittsburgh. So I think the margin for error is really fine with Randy because unless he starts doing something really, really different, he's going to give up hits. Like you can pencil in that he's going to give up hits and deal with base traffic. And then the question becomes, okay, well, if he gives up, let's say, 5-6 hits in 5-6 innings, then he can't really afford to go walk 3-4 guys. Now, if you don't walk anybody, you probably can deal with giving up those hits. So, look, I think Randy has been solid. I think, with a fully healthy rotation, if Randy was giving you that in the number 5 spot in your rotation, you take it. And I think there have been moments where he's been good this year, and he keeps you in games and does what I think a back end of the rotation kind of guy should do. So I think with Randy, look, you can always factor in the hits. I mean, he always gives up a good amount. The question for him is, can he be in command enough to not also pair the hits with walks? And when you pitch the way he pitches and you deal with the kind of base runners he deals with, you're just dealing on a really, really fine line between putting together 5-6 really good innings where you keep your team right in the game and the outing sort of unraveling. And to his credit, this season and many times last season, he has found himself on the good side of that line. So hopefully he continues to do that. But I'm a fan. I like Randy. I think he does a good job. I think he cares. I think he's trying to get better. And I think moving forward, Randy has potential to be a back end of the rotation kind of guy and be pretty serviceable in that kind of role.
I agree with you. I love watching him pitch. Some of the other, I'm just hitting you with Padres topics because these are the things that we talked about for the first 2 hours of the show. But Manny Machado is hitting .317 this year, hit his 350th home run yesterday, has 8 on the year, 31 RBIs, 8 stolen bases, 880 OPS. Frank said something earlier that I don't think is controversial or anything like that, but he's having an MVP caliber season. Would you call this so far an MVP caliber season?
That's a good question. I'd have to look at some of the numbers compared to the other guys. I don't know that it's been MVP caliber. I don't know that his power and run producing numbers are there. His average obviously has been terrific. And just from a batting average standpoint, he's been one of the best in the National League this year. So I don't know if it's been MVP caliber. I don't know that his run producing numbers, his power numbers would quite be there. And by his standards, they're down. But do I think Manny's had a really, really nice season? Yeah, I think it's been a little bit different, right? He's hitting for a higher average on the road. He's been amazing. He's got the highest batting average in the NL on the road this year. I think he's had a really, really good season. I think it's just looked a little bit different than usual. We're not used to Manny, hitting well above 300 this deep into the year. And all of a sudden, if he keeps up anywhere close to this kind of pace, you could look at him hitting 300, over 300 for the year, which we're a long ways away from. And if he reaches some of the other power numbers and run producing numbers and slugging numbers, then the average may come down a little bit just naturally. But I think Manny's had a really, really nice year. It's looked a little bit different, but I think he's been great. I don't know if it's quite MVP level, but it's been really, really good. And I think when you look at some of the offensive inconsistencies of this team, I don't put them on Manny's shoulders at all. Manny's been pretty consistent aside from a couple of stretches this year. So Manny's been great. And, it's been kind of weird. And they mentioned this on Ben and Woods this morning. We always say as Manny goes, the Padres go. Yeah. And really, you look at the last 20 plus games, it hasn't been that way because Manny, for the most part, has been really, really good. And they're not clicking offensively, certainly on all cylinders. So, but Manny's been great. I don't know that it's quite MVP level, but it's been really good and it's been a little bit different. And, I think the cool thing with Manny, just to take it a step further, is I feel like in the last year or so, I feel like we're all starting, and as he hits some milestones, 350 career home runs, when he hits 2,000 hits, that's going to be a big deal. That should be by the end of the month, really. Could be by the end of the month. It's going to be soon, sometime this summer. He's only, I think, 28 away coming into today. He was 29 after the home run yesterday, so he had one more
he's
hit.
28.
Yeah, 28
he's
away.
got 1972.
Yeah, 28 away. I think we're starting to gain more of an appreciation of how rare it is to see a guy like Manny, the kind of rarefied air he's in. I think the stat is when he hits 2,000 hits, and he's at 350 career home runs now, and he does it before the end of his age 32 season, he will become the 12th player to hit those two numbers before the end of his age 32 season. And the list of the other 11, I think 8 are Hall of Famers, and I think the other 3 are A-Rod, Albert Pujols, and Miguel Cabrera.
I did see this list the other day, and I think you're right.
Yeah, and Pujols and Cabrera are going to get into the Hall of Fame obviously pretty soon, and A-Rod, depending on how you view at it, either should be there or
that's a whole nother can of worms.
That's a whole nother conversation. But just by his baseball career, the numbers obviously is in that category as well. So it's pretty rarefied air that he's in, and I think I'm starting to gain a real appreciation for the level of consistency it takes to reach those kinds of numbers. And, one day I think there's a very, very good possibility we're going to look at Manny hitting 500 home runs and hitting, 3,000 hits in a Padres uniform, and going into the Hall of Fame one day as a Padre. So we're still a ways away from that. Manny's got a lot of years left. He's only 32, but it's pretty remarkable when you realize the level of consistency that it takes to hit some of the numbers he's starting to hit. And again, just in the context of this season, he's been really, really good. It's been a little bit different because it's been a little bit more average based, but been really good.
Talking to Sammy Love here on 97.3 The Fan. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. I'm Matt Skraby. You got Frank Marchese as well. When we get back, Sam, I know you want to talk a little bit of NBA Finals. I think we should. We haven't really talked NBA Finals, but it was an exciting game last night.
You haven't even mentioned that game last night?
I mentioned it, but I didn't really get into it. I said OKC gave this game away.
Skraby, you got a sports show.
We got some things to deal with over here, like the Milwaukee Brewers in front of us.
What are you what are you and Frank talking about?
Well, we did talk about me being a flip-flopper for about 20 minutes and changing my opinion, which I think is, which I explained
on what?
Just certain topics here on 97.3 The Fan that we talk about. Like, it happens. I drive home. I think about what I said on the air, and then I kind of come to my senses that maybe what I said wasn't what I really wanted to say. And so then I come on the air the next day and I say, what I really should have said. Or anyway, people are calling me a flip-flopper, but I don't believe it's true. I'm not looking at the chat today. I'm banning the chat today so I don't get too distracted. Anyway, as I'm talking about getting too distracted, I'm just talking about nothing as we're supposed to go to break. So on the other side, some Dylan Cease conversation and NBA Finals with Sam Levitt on 97.3 The Fan. Here's some of this country like rap stuff. Sam, are you a fan? Sam Levitt, are you a fan of this country rap stuff?
No.
Okay, good. I'm not like saying it's bad or anything. I just have never really heard it until I started working this show, and then I'm hearing these rejoin songs. Frank, why don't you get something else in there?
Because I wasn't in charge when the music was going in.
I will say, I personally think I think my shows have great rejoin music.
Yeah,
maybe people would disagree with that.
You're welcome.
That was a Frank thing.
Well, hold on a second. No. I picked the music, Frank.
I'm going to stand up for Frank here and say that he was the one who did the work.
Yeah, you would have no idea.
I just gave him a list of songs.
One of my favorite, and I did take a picture of this the other day when it came up on my Spotify, and I was going to send it to Sam, but I was driving. Skater Boy by Avril Lavigne. It's my favorite one. It's my favorite one.
Before we talk anything else sports related, I got a couple of things I want to talk about. Just random here.
Let's go.
Number one, I think it's funny. I think there are a lot of fans and listeners to our station that think you and I, and talking about Skraby, are like real enemies.
Yeah, like mortal enemies.
Yes. Which is funny because I do give you a hard time on the air for sure.
Everybody does.
But it's funny because I think, just to give people an idea, a peek behind the curtain here, I think we're actually very good friends.
Yes.
Off the air.
Yes.
We're very good friends. We're great.
Yeah.
We're great off the air.
We text. We talk.
Yeah, we're great.
We hung out during the game yesterday.
Yeah, we couldn't be better. It's just.
But it is funny because some guy DM'd me and was like, "Man, you gotta start talking trash to Sam because he just keeps punking you on the air." And I'm like, "No, it's fine. It's just a joke."
Okay. Second thing. So, if anybody listened to Ben and Woods, and I'm sure you did, yesterday when I went on Ben and Woods, I talked about how I was going to make some fish for dinner, and I talked about how I was going to make salmon. And I typically, if I'm going to make fish at home, I will make salmon. Salmon's my favorite fish. I find it the easiest to make. But I didn't want to go to Whole Foods yesterday. It was kind of out of the way, so I went to a different supermarket, and I ended up picking up a piece of cod.
Okay.
And I've never made cod, and
I like how you say
I was
cod.
like, I don't know. You know what? The salmon didn't look great. I was like, let me get some cod. So I was like, how hard could it be? I'll put some stuff on it, throw it in the air fryer. Salmon is great in the air fryer. So I put a little oil on the cod. I followed a little recipe that I Googled. I put it in the air fryer. Comes out pretty good. Comes out a little crispy on the top. It looks good.
What happened?
I bite into this cod. I'm like, I hate this. It's too fishy. Too fishy. Not that good. I'm like, this whole piece of cod. I got to eat all this. So I'm not proud to say what I did. And here's the thing about cooking fish now I like my new apartment, but it's still not a huge apartment. I'm one person.
Yeah.
So, my entire apartment smells like fish when I cook fish, which I think a lot of people can relate to. And it dissipates after a while, but immediately it smells like fish. And that's true with the salmon as well. And I was just like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I'm gonna admit it. I threw out the cod. I went and got a burrito.
Oh, what kind of burrito did you get though?
A carne asada burrito.
Very nice.
I was so just upset about the whole. I was like, this is
there
bad.
was,
and now
you told
and now
me
my
about
apartment
this.
smells like fish. So I just took this long, sad walk down to get a burrito, and I sat and ate the burrito. I was like, wow, what a disaster that was. Never again with the cod.
I mean,
never again.
I saw on Twitter that someone yesterday was very happy for you that you were going to be able to make
they wished me a wonderful seafood dinner.
And it wasn't wonderful.
I made a misstep with the cod. Never again. I'm only salmon from now on.
I don't eat fish in general. It's all too fishy for me. I guess the only fish that I like is like the fish that's in the what is it? The Rubio's fish taco. That's a pretty good fish. I don't know what kind of fish that is.
And I hate to say it like that. I threw away what was a perfectly good piece of fish, but
you can't really save it.
I took a bite into it. I was like,
Oh,
like,
man.
I literally just like looked at it. I was like, oh, oh God, I hate this.
I feel the pain because sometimes you start looking forward to dinner at work and you're like, I'm gonna go home, I'm gonna make this nice meal and I'm gonna eat it. It's gonna be delicious, it's gonna be great. And then when it doesn't happen, it kind of steals your thunder.
I've made the salmon in the air fryer, and that's really good.
Okay.
That came out great. I rarely mess up salmon. And I should also mention I'm not a great cook. So could I prepare this cod better and made it way, way better and loved it? Sure. But the way I did it, I tried the air fryer, which it came out fine, but it just
too fishy.
Didn't work.
All right. Well, I'm sorry
and
to hear that.
Then I walked back. I walked back from getting the burrito, and I walked to my apartment, and it just reeks of fish. Like, oh, so I open up all the windows. I've got the fans going, and by this morning, it was gone. But
that is really funny, actually.
Yeah.
Just walking back into your apartment, smelling the failure that was your dinner. Anyway, that was good. I like that story. We talked about your dinner yesterday for like a couple innings, it seemed like. So I'm sad that it didn't work out for you.
Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah.
NBA Finals. Well, we can get Dylan Cease. Basically, what I was going to talk to you about Dylan Cease is like on the list
I can stay on till the bottom of the hour if you want. It's up to you.
Okay.
Just say you don't want me.
No, it's not that.
Ouch.
It's not that. We have
schedule.
we have behind the scenes things. I was supposed to do this, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do.
Sorry,
this.
I took up the segment with my fish.
No, I would much rather talk about your fish story. Dylan Cease, where, and then we'll talk about the NBA Finals. Where on the list of things that the Padres have going on right now would you list Dylan Cease? Chris said yesterday, probably way down the list.
Yeah, it would still be kind of down the list for me. They need him to be the more dominant version of Dylan Cease, and he's had some flashes of it, but he has not had the extended stretch of it like we saw at times last year. I would still say it's pretty far down the list because I think there are bigger concerns right now. I think offensively, getting them going offensively to me is concern number one right now. Probably after that, it's how long will these three spots of your rotation with Vasquez and Bergert or somebody else and Kolek, and those guys have been solid. But are you playing with fire in are those guys going to falter at some point? Yeah, I mean, left field, catcher, the issues you have there. I would say it's kind of far down the list because I do think Dylan will get it rolling at some point. And even when Dylan isn't at his peak, and I don't think he has been, obviously, it's not like he went out there yesterday and got torched for 8 runs in 3 innings, right? I mean, it was okay, but, you're expecting him to be better than okay, which I think is the point. But I would say in the grand picture of things right now, it wouldn't be the top of my list is the answer to the question.
Yep, I thought that's what you were going to say. Just wanted to confirm my suspicions. So the NBA Finals last night. Now, Chris and I were watching this before we went home, and the Pacers committed 19 first half turnovers last night, which is crazy. And they ended up winning the game because Tyrese Halliburton hits the game-winning shot with like 0.3 seconds left. That was a pretty exciting first game of the NBA Finals. And OKC should be sick to their stomach.
Yeah, I still think OKC is going to win the series. I think they're the far better team. Although at some point, I think we're going to have to start. Not that we're not taking the Pacers seriously already. They beat a 60-plus win Cavs team. They beat the Knicks. Obviously, when you're in the finals, you get taken seriously. But look, I think everybody was picking OKC to win this series and win it pretty quickly. And now the Pacers steal home court. It forces pretty much like a must-win game 2 in OKC. Yeah, what the Pacers continue to do is remarkable. And it's not just the comeback wins, which have been amazing, and seeing Tyrese Halliburton just become this unbelievable clutch player. Yeah, it really blossomed into a real superstar in the league. But, they just continue like, you don't feel like this is a finals winning type of team, but meanwhile, they just keep taking steps to get there. And my goodness, beating this OKC team, which is a great team. I mean, this OKC team is an all-time great team. They're new kind of, right?
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
young.
Yep.
But they win the title, they're going to go down as one of the all-time teams to go win a title. I mean, their record's going to say that overall with the postseason. So if the Pacers go out and beat them, there's no debate that they are the best team and champions and earned it and deserved it because of the road they would have taken to get there. And it's getting pretty serious to where you're like, oh my goodness, are they actually going to win the finals? I still think OKC will win it. I think OKC is really, really good, but this Pacers team, man, they're something. The way they come back. I mean, I was watching that game yesterday. I saw the second half. And honestly, in the fourth quarter, I was kind of half paying attention. I was on my phone because it wasn't that exciting. I mean, OKC was kind of in their usual, up by 10, 12, Pacers would make a couple of shots, but OKC would extend it back out to 10, 12, 15 points. And you're like, whatever, that's going to kind of be what it is. And then the Pacers just start going towards the end there. And Halliburton was terrific. Nembhard was terrific. So, they stole it again. And, we saw in the series against New York, the power of stealing game one. I mean, the Knicks maybe win that series if they win game one, and they didn't. And the Pacers pulled it off. So we'll see if a similar fate awaits OKC or not.
Your guy got fired, though, Tom Thibodeau.
Yeah,
I've been reading a lot about this, and the people are very split as to whether or not he should have been fired.
I've got mixed feelings on it. On one hand, it feels crazy to fire a guy that got you within a couple of wins of the finals and a guy that's had a lot of success with this group, and to just mess up like the whole thing you're building. And it feels unfair, and it is unfair. With that said, look, I think there's an argument to be made that maybe Tibbs is a coach that can get you from where the Knicks were to where they are now, and maybe you need something else to get you to the next step, which would be, winning the whole thing. I think there's an argument to that, and there's been examples throughout NBA history where teams have made moves like that, and they found kind of the right guy to take them to that next step. So I think there's an argument for both. I understand both arguments to it. Doesn't feel fair. It also could be a disaster if you bring in the wrong guy, which could happen.
Yep.
It's going to be a fascinating summer for the Knicks. Are they going to make a big move? Rumors today about Giannis. I mean, stuff like that.
That
So
crazy.
They're in an interesting spot because they've got a really good team. They've got a really, really good team that should be right there in a weak Eastern Conference. But they could make a big move to kind of maybe raise the ceiling of what they are from like an Eastern Conference Finals team to
an NBA champion.
A champion. That's kind of where they are. They got to figure out the next step because I don't know that they're a champion right now.
Well, Sam, thank you so much for joining us.
There are people listening out there being like, wow,
Sam knows what he's talking about when it comes to this NBA stuff.
Yeah.
Called him Tibbs, like, man, they must be best friends.
NBA. He knows a lot.
He knows a lot about
he's got his finger on the pulse of the sporting world.
He knows a lot about the NBA, but he knows nothing about cooking fish in his apartment. All right, Sam. I will see you later at 4:10. You're going to be taking over 4:10. Yes, 4:10. So thank you so much for joining us. When we get back, we got a game. We have Padres Dodgers tickets to give away. So stick around for that here on 97.3 The Fan. Moving right along here on the Braden Surprenant Show, 97.3 The Fan. I'm Matt Skraby, filling in for Braden Surprenant. He is back on Monday. He will have all of the stories from his vacation on Monday. You'll find out what he ate. You'll find out what he saw. And you'll find out how much he paid attention to the Padres while he was gone, which I think is a lot because he was on the chat the other day. So
he is in the air as we speak right now. So he is on his way back.
Oh, well, then why can't he come to work? All right. Frank did not like that. All right. You guys have something now. I usually am in studio already by this time, so I don't necessarily get to hear this, but you have something called the lunchtime hour bite down.
Yes. This is our gimmick because it's the lunchtime hour. It is noon. And we typically get hungry around this time.
I'm hungry, yes.
So we just started naturally talking about food in this lunchtime hour.
Perfect.
And we kind of made it our own segment where it's the midday lunchtime bite down.
Okay.
Which is more or less just doesn't necessarily have to be a controversial food take that you have that we can sit and discuss. Like last time Braden was here, we did the type of donuts the person bringing in office donuts should get.
I would have
stuff like that.
And these are topics right up my alley.
Yeah, exactly.
These are the Skraby. These are the Skraby.
These are the Skraby show
topics right
topics,
here.
Yes.
That's okay. So I need to come up with one.
Yes,
is what you're saying.
While you're doing that,
okay,
we are in fact going to be playing the Midday Sports Standoff today. So if you would like a trip to Las Vegas,
qualification,
well, to qualify for a trip to Las Vegas, and you want to show that you are smarter than Matt Skraby when it comes to certain trivia topics,
not hard.
Give us a call, 833-288-0973. Phone lines are open.
All right, I think I have it.
Okay.
And this is the first thing that popped into my head.
All right.
It's not necessarily a lunch food. It's not necessarily like a meal, but I love to eat frozen French fries from the freezer. Like, that is my snack. I will take my hand, I will put them in the French fry bag. I'm talking like when you buy frozen French fries from the store. I'm not like freezing French fries after they've already been made, but they're like little potato popsicles.
Are you okay?
I'm fine. I've been doing this since I was little.
Do we need to have a conversation with somebody?
No.
Are we good?
Is
you
that
sure?
that weird?
That is a little odd.
I don't think so. You're just
eating... you don't think so because you're not doing it. You're the one doing it.
Yeah, my mom used to get so mad at me because she would buy the fries for like a family meal, and then I would go open the bag early and I would eat some of the frozen French fries, and then she'd be like, "Where did it go? Did you eat the frozen French fries?" And I was like, "Yes, it was me." Does this count as a lunchtime hour bite down topic?
Oh, it certainly does, because we're about to have a conversation right now. What other odd food-related things do you have short of your potato popsicle?
It does sound ridiculous when potato popsicle is the thing being said. What other weird things do I have? Okay, here's one.
Okay.
I shouldn't admit this. And this is all SD fat loss, This is pre-SD fat loss.
Okay.
But
so don't pull the sponsorship, SD fat loss.
Yes. Sometimes, not in a long time, I'll take a scoop of sour cream and eat it right out of the container.
Okay.
Just a scoop. Just go sour cream.
Okay.
Thank you, sour cream. That was very good. And then I'll take my little potato popsicle, and then I will go on with my merry way, my merry day. Well, I don't even want to know what people are saying on the chat right now.
It's not good. It's more or less good. It's more or less what I've been saying is that you might need some help, like some professional.
There is nothing wrong with this. I can guarantee you that there's someone else out there that has eaten frozen French fries. or taking a scoop of sour cream.
I believe it. And as boy, it's not going well for you.
That's why I'm not looking. That's why I'm not looking today.
I think you should probably look during the break because it's actually interesting.
It's interesting, huh? All right, fine. I'm looking.
So,
WTF, Skraby?
I'll say it's not all that weird because I will admit I did have a weird thing when I was younger. I would like those little the squeeze lemon bottles, like the lemon juice bottles.
Oh, don't say it.
Yeah.
You used to drink those?
Yeah.
That's gross.
It's probably why I can handle the sour stuff that I can.
I guess probably. I mean, that's true.
But it's not, I mean, I wouldn't consider that all that bad and I wouldn't consider the sour cream all that bad either because you put sour cream on things. So you do eat sour cream straight up. Like for me, you'd put lemon juice on seafood. So I just took the seafood out of the equation and had the lemon juice.
To the lemon juice.
So I mean, that's my weird thing, but I can't get over the potato popsicles. I can't.
Bo said serial killer vibes from Skraby, which is fine. Like I know that it's not the most normal thing in the world. Someone also said, please tell me you don't pour the milk before the cereal too. I do not.
No,
cereal
you can't
first,
do
then
that.
milk.
Yeah, you can't do that.
And I also say milk, even though it's milk. It's very hard for me to say. Skraby puts bananas on pizza. Don't like pizza, or I do like pizza.
I was going to say,
like pizza.
we were going to have a problem.
Don't like bananas. All right, we'll get into some of that a little bit later because we got to get into this midday sports standoff.
Welcome to Midday Sports Standoff on the Braden Surprenant Show.
I can't believe what I'm seeing right now.
The ultimate head-to-head battle where sports knowledge and quick thinking collide.
No, he's no good. Are you kidding me?
Contestants will go toe-to-toe with Braden in a sports trivia deal where every correct answer brings them closer to victory.
Down the sideline! Wow! Unbelievable!
But 3 strikes and it's game over.
This is not Detroit, man. This is the Super Bowl.
Can you outsmart Braden? The Midday Sports Standoff starts now.
And if you outsmart me today, you will be qualified for a chance to win the grand prize. Celebrate summer with the Spawn Pool Getaway at Resorts World Las Vegas, home of the largest elevated pool complex on the Strip. You will receive a 2-night stay at Resorts World Las Vegas, dine poolside at one of the 5 unique pool experiences, and experience the ultimate in relaxation and wellness at Awana Spa, one of the largest co-ed spa facilities in Las Vegas. To book your summer stay, visit rwlasvegas.com. All right, what we got, Frank?
We have Michael in Lemon Grove, I believe it is. Michael?
I know him.
Oh, there you go.
Yes,
Michael, you there?
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Michael?
All right, so today's topic, you know how to play the game, right, Michael?
I don't, but I'll figure it out.
Okay,
real quick.
So we have one topic with multiple answers. And all of these, and if you get more of these answers right than Skraby, or if you tie, you get the prize, or you get qualified to go to Vegas. If you get 3 strikes, you're out.
So you're going to give us a topic that has lots of different answers.
Yes.
And then we're going to each go one by one naming them.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, Michael, you are going to go first. The topic today, going to the NFL. It's a jersey quirk in the NFL.
Okay.
NFL teams that have their primary logo on their sleeves.
Oh,
so
wow.
Sometimes there are 9 of them. 9 teams have their primary logo on their sleeves.
Wow.
Michael, it's a third of the league, effectively. You got the first pick.
Oh, jeez.
I'm going to go Patriot.
No! That was the exact one I was going to do.
Patriots are one of them.
Okay, let me go with... Ooh, I just saw one in my head. No, I didn't. The Arizona Cardinals? Oh, no.
Cardinals do not.
Oh, no.
Michael.
Buffalo Bills.
That's a good one. Really?
No, the Bills do not have their primary logo on their sleeve.
Oh man, on their sleeve. What
So
about
you got to think long flat logos pretty much.
long flat logos? What about the Jets? Oh man, I'm really bad at this.
Michael.
I'm gonna go. It's a long flat. So the Chargers, because they're over the shoulders, is that going to count? Is that a Skraby rule for you?
That'll be a Chargers. I'll give you the Chargers are one. Yes.
Long flat logos. Seahawks. Oh yes, fine.
Skraby on the board.
Oh God. What about the Dolphins?
Wow, man,
Dolphins.
You're good at this, Michael.
3 for 4.
All right, let me think. What about the Cowboys? Don't. What about the Vikings?
Michael, congratulations. You are qualified for a trip to Las Vegas.
I did not. Good job, Michael. Thank you for playing. Hang on the line. We're going to get your information. You did outsmart me. That was really difficult, though.
Yeah, that one was a tough one.
What are the other teams?
The Chargers, the Eagles, long
Okay.
flat logo.
Yep.
Cowboys are one of them.
I cannot see that.
The Falcons, the Saints, the Panthers, then the Seahawks, Dolphins, and Patriots. What you guys got?
All right. That is that's kind of crazy, but that was really good playing, Michael. That was not easy. I want a new topic. Can we do another topic? I want a new topic because I played so terribly during that I don't really want to.
Next time you sub in for Skraby, if I'm not filling in at that point,
Braden, you
then I'll next time you're filling in for Braden, if I'm not filling in at that point, we'll get you an easier topic.
Well, unfortunately for me, I lose. But fortunately for all of you, there is still a chance to win Padres and Dodgers tickets at some point through the rest of the show. So it will be in the last hour that we will give those away. We also have a couple things to talk about in the last hour. Frank is going to give us an update on the San Diego FC friendly that's happening over the weekend. We'll also talk a little bit about the next MLS match that they have. And we'll get back to some Padres talk, and we will go from there. Thank you so much to everybody for listening to us here on 97.3 The Fan. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. I'm Matt Skraby, filling in for Braden Surprenant on the aforementioned 97.3 The Fan. All right, Frank, I just read some of the chat about the potato popsicle or frozen french fries.
Told you it'd be fun.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought. Seriously, here's a comment. Seriously, you have to be down bad to eat frozen potato fries. Yes, I'm not down bad. I actually choose it. Someone said, make sure you use the code word potato popsicle for 20% off.
Just do potato popsicle for your Tuesday Dodger tickets.
What? Say again?
Should be like a code word. So the next time you hear potato popsicle, call in.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I like where you're going with that. So I can't say, okay, the next time I say this word, and I'm saying it now and it does not count. Potato popsicle is when you call in and you will be the fourth caller to answer. Well, you don't need to answer anything.
The first caller. First caller.
Okay.
You're the first one to call in.
You told me fourth in the earlier.
I was making a generalization, but if you hear the words, then if you're the first one to call in, you got it.
All right.
833-288 on Tuesday.
0973. Padres. By the way, this is the Braden Surprenant show. Matt Skraby, that's Frank Marchese. Final hour here of the week for the Braden Surprenant show. He'll be back on Monday. And I'm just getting used to the time slot. I'm just getting used to everything. And then I'll be back with Chris and Tony in no time next week. Anyway, Padres are in Milwaukee. I always want to say that. I don't know why. It's not really that cool. But they are taking on the Brewers, who have been very, very good as of late. They've won 9 out of their last 10. They are going to be using rookie Chad Patrick today. He's going to be on the mound, 3-4 record, 2.97 ERA. Randy Vasquez pitching for the Padres today, 3-4 record, 3.99 ERA. The Brewers are the third place team in the National League Central because of how bad their start was. Christian Yelich is hitting .340 with 6 home runs in the last 15 games, 15 RBIs for him as well. So this is going to be a really tough series, and I'm not dooming at all. But I do think this is going to be a good little test for what this team has. Like, what kind of Mike Schilt calls this team the grit squad. How gritty are you? Because we're about to see over the next 2 weeks how gritty you are when you play a team that's really good in the Brewers for 3. You play the Dodgers for 3. You play the Diamondbacks for 3. And then you play the Dodgers for 4. And then you play the Royals. By the time that's all over, this team, the record could look completely different. And I'm looking forward to seeing how gritty this team actually is.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the grit squad hasn't really looked all that gritty over these last couple of days because of the blown leads.
Okay.
That's why.
Okay.
The first 2 games certainly did. But now you're coming into, again, a really, really important stretch. You got the Dodgers twice in 2 weeks. You're playing the Brewers, who are 9-1 in their last 10 games. Who's next?
Dodgers back for
Arizona,
4.
Another divisional
Yeah.
opponent. Kansas City's really good, and then it kind of chills out after that with Washington, then Cincinnati.
Washington's not bad.
No, they're not the Dodgers, and they're not
true.
Yeah. So this is going to be a real test these upcoming 2 weeks against some really good teams that they're going to have to show up for.
They also only have 2 days off this entire month.
Yes.
So they're going through a nasty stretch of consecutive games played, only 2 days off for the month. I believe the first day off is next Thursday. And then the second day off of the month would be like 2 weeks from next Thursday. So, with their pitching being the way it is right now, and it's going to, like, when Mike Schilt says gritty, what does that mean to you, Frank? Does it mean they just don't stop fighting? Does that mean that they're never out of it? What does that mean to you?
It means the fight's always there. The heart's always there. They never see themselves out of a game.
I agree.
There's always a chance that they're always there. They're always fighting, scratching until the last out.
I agree. Like a couple years ago, put on a Padres game, I did not feel like they would have come back. Like 2023, I didn't have good feels about the team in 2023. 2024 got a little bit better, but this year I do have some good feelings about this team because they have won games that they weren't supposed to win, and they've done it in comeback fashion. I don't know that you actually want to be coming back and winning all the time just because you want to be leading.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of energy to come back and win. And there's a lot of pressure on the team, and there's a lot of pressure on pitching when you go down early to try to keep the score where it's at. But this grit squad, we're going to find out if the actual grit squad, we're going to find out what that means, because I love the name Grit Squad. I think that's a perfect characterization of what Mike Schilt's team wants to do, their identity of being gritty. And hopefully they can take advantage of, maybe having all the deck kind of stack against them right now. Take advantage of trying to be a spoiler and it sounds kind of crazy to say spoiler, but it is, the Brewers are a hot team, maybe the hottest team in baseball right now. So the Padres going in and taking the series from them would be a spoiler role early in the year.
And the Padres have played 61 games. There's going to be 62 tonight.
So they'll have 100 left after tonight.
20 of those 61 games. So one of every 3 games effectively has been a 1-run game. They're 13-7 in 1-run games this season. So you really need this offense to start waking up, because while you are battle tested, that could also wear you out a little bit come down the stretch if you're constantly fighting in these 1-run games.
Totally. And it's a double-edged sword for me with 1-run games. It's a morale booster when you win these close games, but it's also like, you don't want to keep going down this road. You do not want to keep facing this, because at some point you're not going to win those games and it's going to turn on you. I said on Twitter, you can't keep tight roping every night and expect to win. And that's what they had been doing. If you want to follow me on Twitter, you can at Matt Skraby, Instagram as well. You can watch us on YouTube. Just search 97.3 The Fan on YouTube, and you can follow the station on Twitter at 97.3 The Fan SD. Also, Frank Marchese at FMARKZ 324. What's the 324 for?
That's a story. As you guys know, I am a NASCAR fan. Love NASCAR. I've been a fan ever since I was a kid.
I think I know.
Go ahead.
Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Gordon.
Yes.
Wow.
That is it, and that is the way it always will be.
Have you seen the new Earnhardt documentary?
I finished watching it last night. It absolutely broke me.
It broke you?
Yes. I've known it. I've seen it so often. I've seen so many videos and stuff. Yeah, I watched it live. I remember
when did it happen?
2001.
Really? Okay.
I remember where I was when I saw on the news the first time that he had passed away. Now, I was a Gordon fan, but always had the respect for Earnhardt being what he had been in the sport. But yeah, it gets me every single time.
Should I mean, as a guy who knows a little bit should I watch it? Is it good?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
You don't even have to be a racing fan to watch this documentary.
It's more of a story of him.
Yeah, the story of him. The first episode, each episode's an hour long. There's 4 of them.
Oh, wow.
The first episode is from his beginnings to, I believe it was 86, I think it was.
Okay.
The next episode was 87 to 94, when he kind of really establishes himself as a leader and as the champion. Third episode was the rise of Dale Jr. And then the last episode is the day and what the immediate aftermath of what happened.
Dale Jr. was he in that race?
Yes. He finished second.
He finished second. Did he know that his dad had passed away?
He knew he crashed.
He didn't know the result. And I mean, a lot of good came from this because a lot of safety was mandated from this.
It's the dark side of racing. It's the bad side of racing, where it usually takes a tragedy before rules that seem obvious today become mandatory.
It seems like that's kind of the case for a lot of different things, not
especially
just sports.
Especially auto racing, though. It's one of those things where it's so funny because I watched the end of it yesterday, and then the first thing that pops up on my Twitter account after that is a video from the year before saying that helmets in 2000, helmets were not mandatory. They were recommended. Fire suits were not mandatory. They were recommended. Now, all the drivers wore them without question,
Okay,
but the
good.
fact that it wasn't an official rule that you had to have a helmet, you had to wear a fire suit, and then just 5-6 months later, you lose the biggest name your sport has. That's like, wow, we've come a really, really long way.
That is a long way. Anybody who decided that they wanted to drive without a fire suit and a helmet is someone who likes to tempt fate a lot.
As if driving 200 miles an hour in a race car
Yeah.
isn't tempting fate to begin with.
Being stuck in a car without a helmet and on fire does not sound great to me.
No,
it does not
not
sound
really.
good. I remember, now that we're talking about big crashes and people passing away, I remember when Dan Weldon, yes. Weldon, yeah, sorry. I think it was Texas Motor Speedway
of Vegas.
Okay, I should stop talking.
Oh, you're fine. You're
just
good.
Let Frank give me the details. But I do remember this. The crash was massive, and I've seen it so many times since. And I guess because you have open wheel racing, which is IndyCar and F1, and then you have stock car racing, which is NASCAR. And open wheel racing now they have cars that are so designed around safety that it would be very hard for this to happen again. But they're also going 240 miles an hour. Like, I watched the Indianapolis 500. They're flying around that track.
It takes a special kind of person to be able to do that and watch somebody not only do it, but to watch somebody have a crash and then just keep going as if nothing ever happened. I would love to do it. I would love to try and see if I could do it, but I don't know if I could with that. There's that risk is there, and those guys have the unbelievable ability to just put it on the back burner for 3-4 hours to do what they need to do.
Diesel says the Senna crash was terrible.
Ayrton Senna back in 1994 when he passed away. Yes.
What type of racing was that?
Formula One.
Formula One. Okay. Smash Number says the Netflix F1 show really got me into the sport. Way more interesting than NASCAR and IndyCar. I love F1. It's just, for some reason, has not caught on here in America.
It's starting to, and it's because of that F1, the Netflix show Drive to Survive. It has gotten a lot bigger. There's a ton of races that are the biggest problem here is that they race in Europe so often, and the start times here are like 4, 5, 6 in the morning.
I mean, they're all over the world. They're in Abu Dhabi and places that.
I think the next race is in Canada, I believe, is in Montreal. So that'll be a little bit more accessible time-wise for us. But yeah, no, again, I love auto racing. It is my passion. I love baseball. I love hockey. I love basketball. I love the things that this job allows me to do. But auto racing is my absolute passion that I would
How did this come about?
It was just, I really don't even know.
Okay.
Is
your family into it? You grew up
My grandparents would. We'd go over mostly every Sunday when they would race, and I fell in love with it. Anything with 4 or 2 wheels and a motor that goes burr very, very quickly, I love it.
That goes burr very, very quickly.
Like I'll probably be up at Barona Speedway tomorrow night.
What's going on tomorrow night? Barona Speedway?
Dirt racing, dirt track racing.
Are you okay? Wow.
Every
I knew
Saturday
you were
night at
into
Barona.
racing. I definitely knew that. You've actually tried to get me to go to a couple races with you.
Yes.
And I keep.
I'm trying to get Braden to come with me to Phoenix in November.
Well, now you guys have to go because you guys work on the same show together.
Yes.
And it would be good storytelling time, and it would be fun. I think that would be very fun. I would love to just once be able to drive an IndyCar at 240 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's a wild experience. I've done it in simulator on iRacing, and it's wild.
I like, because they
Even
have those
that's
things
wild.
in Vegas and other tracks around where you can get into the car and you could drive it, but they put like you can only go a certain amount.
Yeah.
I want to do both. I want to do the one where I can drive it, and then I want one of the professional racers to race me around the track as fast as humanly possible. Like, I have really found over the years.
It'll work out your neck.
Oh yeah. And people are like, oh, well, they only turn left. They just have a bunch of left turns. It is so much harder than left turns.
Yes, it is.
It is so much harder than left turns. But I would, if anybody has a IndyCar sitting around,
Yeah, just anyone have a spare $5 million
bring it
Indy
on
car.
down here, and I'll take it down the 15, and we'll have some fun.
By the way, smashing the numbers. No, Ford versus Ferrari was not a great movie.
I did love
because
the movie.
Ferrari was getting beaten. So no, it was not a great movie.
But I did like the movie. It was extremely long for a car movie. Extremely long. But I did like the movie.
Did you run out of potato popsicles?
That's not the word.
Close enough.
Potato popsicle.
There it is. Okay. Off the break we go.
This hour on 97.3 The Fan is brought to you by Frozen Ropes San Diego. Hey parents, here's a message from Coach Kurt with Frozen Ropes. Is your child 6 to 12 years old? Our baseball summer league is the perfect fit for your player. Starting June 16th through August 17th, Summer League includes 8 practices, 8 games. Go to San Diego FrozenRopes.com. That's San Diego FrozenRopes.com. I'm Matt Skraby. That is Frank Marchese alongside me here on 97.3 The Fan, the Braden Surprenant show. He will be back on Monday. He's actually on a plane right now. And I did see on the chat, Frank, that someone said Frank is tracking Braden in the air? Because I said I tracked the Padres earlier.
No, I'm not. He posted it on Twitter about 7 hours ago, and I just saw it.
Oh,
So
okay. My Twitter feed, by the way, at Matt Skraby, shameless plug. Go ahead, Frank. Shameless plug yourself.
at FMARKZ324.
And we just found out why we have the 324 at the end.
Also, for the show account, we just put some big news that we had on the show, for us at least. Skraby, you weren't a part of it, unfortunately. Sorry. On our Twitter account at B_SURP show on Twitter. And you can follow Braden at B_SURP.
Well, don't follow him right now. He's on a plane.
Don't follow him now.
2
He's
minutes.
on a plane.
Can I read this? I guess it's public, right?
Yeah, go for it.
We are proud to announce that we have an addition to the family. Starting Monday, June 9th, the Craft Taco will be sponsoring the lunchtime hour on the Braden Surprenant show. Follow them on Instagram at the Craft Taco.
Yes.
Very nice. I've
Thank
never
you.
been to Craft Taco, but
Neither
now I
have
will
I.
have to.
Neither have I.
Well, we're all going to have to go to Craft Taco now. So thank you, Craft Taco, for being a part of the station, being a part of the Braden Surprenant show. I'm gonna move past the fact that I was offered no tacos in the deal.
I didn't get any either. Don't worry about it.
All right, that makes me feel better. Before we get into the final segment of the show, we're going to be hearing from someone I talked to earlier in the show. His name is Jeff Levering. He is the Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster. He had some good things to say about the Brewers, and he has some good insights. So while I'm getting ready for Gwen and Chris, you will be getting ready for the Brewers. But right now, Frank is going to talk to us a little bit about San Diego FC. They are readying for a friendly, Frank. So can you explain to me why in the middle of the season they have a friendly?
So they're starting to promote a little bit more.
Sorry. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I should say we did already give out the Padres and Dodgers tickets. Charles. Was it Charles? It was Charles who won those
Charles
tickets.
and Ramona.
Charles and Ramona won those tickets. So if you're calling and you hear this, we just gave them away. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Frank.
So this is something that soccer does, international soccer does, especially with the international teams most of the time. There's a lot of international tournaments that are going on right now. Gold Cup should be starting soon. World Cup qualifiers are going on, which, by the way, Italy is breaking my heart again, especially after Inter embarrassed me this past weekend against PSG. But
friendlies,
yes. So clubs are they're having a little bit of downtime. Downtime in soccer is not necessarily something that they do. So some of these clubs are starting to play each other. Now, LAFC and Club America out of Mexico just finished playing a Club World Cup qualifying match a couple of last weekend that LAFC won. So now Club America, with all of that pent-up rage, is coming here to Snapdragon tomorrow night. A match kicks off at 7 p.m., I believe is what I wrote down. 7 p.m. at Snapdragon Stadium. This will not have any effect on the MLS. This will not have any effect on Liga Mexico. So all this is just an international friendly. These two teams getting together, playing soccer for fun. This match will not be broadcasted in the United States. You can hear it on the radio, but it will not be on television in the United States. So if you want to see the game, you're going to have to go to Snapdragon Stadium tomorrow night. It will be on TUDN in Mexico. So if you have a way to watch it from Show Mexico. That's it'll be on TUDN on Mexico tomorrow night. Also, if you want to see San Diego FC in the near future, tomorrow night is your last chance for a month.
Oh.
They will not be back here for a month. It'll be July 5th.
Wow.
Will be the next time they're here. That will be to play Minnesota United, who they are tied with. I'm sorry. That'll be against the Houston Dynamo. Sorry, is their next home match on July 5th. So for San Diego FC, catch them tomorrow night against Club America here, international friendly at Snapdragon Stadium. It's the last time they're going to be here for a month.
That is kind of crazy. A month is a long time. But so July 5th versus Houston is the next time after tomorrow night.
Yes.
That's the next.
That is the next MLS match here.
Okay.
Yes.
And then you say they're playing Minnesota United FC away, though.
Yes, that will be on. I didn't write the date down for that. I believe it's the 14th. Oh, let me see. Yes, it is the 14th. That is the next match. They're on a little bit of a break now for international play. But yes, it'll be Minnesota United, who they are tied with in the standings right now at 30 points each. Then they play. Let me see here. Give me 2 seconds here. It's coming up. They've got Minnesota, the Vancouver Whitecaps, who are right now the number 1 team in the West. And then it is FC Dallas on June 28th. So they'll play on the 14th, the 25th, and 28th, both on the road before they come back here. And then they have 4 home matches in the month of July, starting with the Houston Dynamo on the 5th.
Dang, that's a lot of home matches. So you can July is your month to go see SDFC if you would like to go see SDFC. So. I've been to 2 games, 2
you
or
went
3.
To the first 2.
You went to the first 2?
No, you went to the first 2.
Yeah, I definitely went to the first 2. Did I go to a third one? I may have went to a third one, but I thought they were really fun.
No, they're fantastic. If you have not gone down to a San Diego FC match, the energy there, the energy at Snapdragon, especially from the Ultra section, is absolutely fantastic. The only thing I will caution you is make sure you sit upwind, because the pyro, if you're not a fan of smelling pyro and you don't want to be covered in a blue dust, then I would try your best to find a way to sit upwind from all of the pyro.
I didn't know where you were going when you said upwind, but that makes sense. I was like, who is stinky or whatever it is? Can you smell the players? Is that what you're saying?
It's the pyro. It's the smoke from the pyro.
I do kind of love the smell of pyro smoke.
I do too, but there's a limit to everything.
There is a limit. You're right. I mean, it can be very bad for you too if you just get a full face of it. But those games, like, the only thing I can say that I don't like about those games are the bad things that have been happening at the stadium. Yeah. And I know that's not just San Diegans. It's probably people from out of town, but stop fighting, people. Stop fighting. It's ridiculous.
Yes.
Like, someone could die and you can go to prison because you decided you wanted to punch someone and they hit their head. Like, I remember when I was a drinker, I got caught in jail and someone who was in there with me punched someone. The guy fell backwards, hit his head, and was in serious condition. And that person I checked up on it. That person ended up passing away. So the person who did punch him, it got the manslaughter charges. It's very serious.
Yeah, it's not good. And again, that was only, from everything I've seen, that was only an LA Galaxy issue. I don't believe that LAFC is coming here. I know San Diego goes there on September 1st, but I don't think LAFC comes down here at any point this year. So we're pretty much done with the LA fans. But from everything I've heard after last week's match against Austin, everything was fine. And I think those 33 banned people from what happened with the Galaxy.
They banned 33?
They banned 33 people.
Now, how do they do
attending
that?
games. security cameras,
That's
security
what
footage, and
I don't know that Snapdragon has this, but I know that baseball stadiums do, and they have facial recognition. So when you walk in, they'll check your face, and if you're on the banned list, they will come get you.
Yes, they will.
I guess that's a good thing. So slippery slope, in my opinion, to have facial recognition, because guys like James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, ended up finding out that someone that he didn't like was at one of his Madison Square Garden shows, and then kicked that person out. Like,
it's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. Anyway, that's crazy. Well, thank you for that update, Frank.
No problem.
When we get back, we're going to find out more about the Brewers. I talked with Jeff Levering, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster, earlier in the show, and he describes everything that we're going to see this weekend. So stick right there. One more segment of the Braden Surprenant Show on 97.3 The Fan. final segment, Frank, of me filling in for Braden on the Braden Surprenant Show, 97.3 The Fan.
It's been fun, buddy.
I'm really sad. It's the final segment. Okay, I'm not that sad.
I have a feeling that the show Twitter account, again, B_SURP show on Twitter, you'll get your flowers. after the show.
Okay.
Don't worry.
All right. Sounds like you run that account.
I never said that. I don't know who runs that account. As far as I know, there's a little guy running around in the walls that runs that account.
Okay. All right. Well, I need to get that guy to run an account for me too. So
that little guy will probably tell you that starting a Twitter account is a pain in the neck.
Yeah, bad idea.
Because of all of the human proof that you have to do before it's almost not worth it.
We've talked about doing a Gwen and Chris Twitter by itself, but it just like I can barely keep up with my own social media. So I don't want to like start something and then just not put time into it. So I'd rather not have one than me create one, get people to look at it and then not use it.
That's where scheduling tweets is beautiful. So you don't have to think about it.
Oh yeah, scheduling tweets is great. Can I get some AI to tweet for me? Because that would be fantastic. I'd be all about that.
Again, that's ask the little guy in the walls.
Little guy in the wall. We're gonna have a talk in the break here because I need you to start doing some stuff. All right, we are coming to the end of the show, as you know, and I'm trying to find. There it is. I found my doc. We are going to have a daily gripe today to finish the show. And before that, though, we are going to hear from an interview that I did earlier with Jeff Levering of the Milwaukee Brewers. He's a broadcaster. He has all the information, and we visited with him a little bit earlier. Well, we're going to ask him right now, actually. So once Frank gets in there. Oh, hi. Is this Jeff Levering? Are you on with us, sir?
Yeah, sir.
Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, my pleasure. Sorry about that. The old phone numbers and all that stuff getting lost in translation.
No, I've definitely heard this before because our phone number, we have tried to get it so that it doesn't, it looks like a bad number. And so we're trying to fix that.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I know.
It does.
Well, thank you for giving us a call back. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
I just want to start with this, Jeff. Brewers, they've won 9 of 10 lately, or after struggling to start the year. What has been working for them all of a sudden?
I tell you, it's a combination of everything. I mean, if you look at who's been hurt, who's been active, who's not been active for the Brewers, say there's no way this team is even a 500 team. And the way the Brewers have been playing, they're a few games over 500 at this point. It just feels like the guys that they've run out there in the starting rotation have all hit, which is great. Chad Patrick, who's going in the game tonight, he's put himself in the Rookie of the Year candidacy within the first 2 months of the season. And the offense has not been outstanding, right? They've missed a lot of the home run clout. They've got some guys that have hit the ball out of the ballpark, but it's not consistent. So they've found different ways to win ball games. A lot of base stealing. They're second in the big leagues in stolen bases. They put pressure on the defense, and that has kind of limited slumps in terms of their offense. But they've just found ways to win. They've been very aggressive, and they put pressure on the opposing defense and the opposing pitching stabs, and it has been really good here recently. 13 wins in their last 16 or 17 ball games, and it's all from different pitchers too. There's only one repeat winning pitcher in that time span. So it's pretty remarkable the run that they're putting on right now.
Yeah, they are definitely being the Brewers that we thought they were going to be. We're talking to Jeff Levering, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster on 97.3 The Fan, the Braden Surprenant Show. You guys have Chad Patrick throwing tonight, and so far in his rookie year, he has been pretty good. What are your thoughts on him so far?
Just a lot of command, and he's not afraid of anything. It's not wow you stuff. It's cutter, it's four-seam fastball, and it's sinker, and you're going to get that 98% of the time. He's been sprinkling in some changeups and some sliders recently, but it's a variation of the fastball every time that he goes out, and it doesn't matter who the hitter is or whoever he's facing. Dude's fearless, and he's been really fun to watch this year grow up, and I think the Brewers have allowed him to go deeper in ball games here recently, because he's shown his ability to get himself into and out of jams if he needs to. There were times where he was going 4 1/3, 4 2/3 innings, or 3 2/3 innings. Definitely don't face a lineup a third time. Now, last time out, 6 innings. Now, he had a ton of run support against Philadelphia. The team scored 17 runs when he was out there on the mound.
That helps.
But they trust him. Yeah, it certainly helps when you get 17 runs behind you. You can pitch with a ton of confidence. But he's been great, and a guy that nobody really expected to not only break camp with the team, but have, at this point, 12 starts as we turn the calendar over to the month of June.
Talking to Jeff Levering here, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster, 97.3 The Fan. I want to talk about Christian Yelich real quick, because Christian Yelich has been one of those players who MVP caliber and then struggled with some injuries, and he started slow this year, but in the last 15 games, he's really taking it to another level. He's hitting nearly 340, 6 home runs, I think 15 RBIs. What was the change for him?
I think just trusting himself. He had the back surgery last year that cost him the final 2.5 months of the season. And he had somewhat of a normal off season this year coming back from the injury. But I think it took him some time to trust that his back was going to be all right. The other part of it is he's done the majority of his playing time as a DH. And that is a huge mental hurdle that someone who's never done that every day needs to conquer. He's figured out, and it took some time, but he's figured out what he needs to do in between at bats. So he's not just sitting there and stewing on, if he got out in his last plate appearance, what he can do to be better. I think he's figured out his rhythm and the way that he needs to go about his ABs in the course of a day. That's a big part of it. The other part is he's not hitting the ball on the ground as much as he was early on in the season. If you look at this stretch, it's balls in the air, and typically when he hits the ball in the air, it's going to get out of the ballpark, but it's a lot of line drives, a lot of solid contact, and he's walking a lot more. He was not walking. He was striking out a ton early on in the season, but now he's balanced his way back to what he was at the beginning, the first 4 months of what he was last season.
Talking Brewers with Jeff Levering, Brewers broadcaster, 97.3 The Fan. And we have our own Jackson here in San Diego. You guys have your own Jackson out there in Milwaukee. And Jackson Chourio was really good last year. He didn't get as much run in the Rookie of the Year race that I think Brewers fans wanted to see. But do you think that is something that is fueling him, or what makes him tick? Because he's an interesting guy to me.
Yeah, the first 2 months of last season, there was a lot of conversations, not just in Milwaukee, but around the league, and why is he still up in the big leagues? There were a lot of people that were calling for him to go back down to the minor leagues, but the Brewers made a decision, sink or swim. This kid's going to stay in the major leagues, and it paid off. After June 1st, he was one of the best players, not just for rookies, but in Major League Baseball. And this year, he's had some ups and downs, and he's trying to figure himself out at times. He's playing center field now, which he had never done in his life. He's a converted infielder, so him being in the corner outfields last year was still a challenge for him. So moving over to center field after Garrett Mitchell got hurt, that's a big learning curve. And you saw when he was in there every day in center, his production dipped offensively. Now he's starting to feel comfortable in center field. Production is going up, and I don't think that's an accident. I'm not sure whether he's fueled by the fact that he was third in the National League Rookie of the Year voting. I think that's where he should have been. And Jackson Merrill more than likely should have won the award if it weren't for Paul Skeens and what he did to the final few months. But I mean, Jackson Merrill from day number 1 until the end of the season was as consistent a player as there was in the big leagues. And for Jackson Chourio, he did it for the final 4 months. So there was 2 months where he wasn't the best player. So I understood why he finished in third. But he's still 21 years old. He's a young kid. He's the youngest player in Major League Baseball right now. He's still just trying to find his footing and where he fits. But man, is he talented.
He's very talented. Talking to Jeff Levering, thank you so much for your time today. I have one more about Pat Murphy, your guys' manager, and he won Manager of the Year for the National League last year. When Mike Schilt took over the Padres, we kind of saw a switch in the mentality of the team. What kind of mentality has Pat Murphy instilled in this team?
Well, Murph was the bench coach before he became the manager, and that can be a tough transition. It's almost like you're the substitute teacher, and then all of a sudden you're the principal, and your voice has to change. But for Murph, he kept treating everybody the same, and that's the way it should be done, right? It should be you're the same person no matter what every single day. And he talks a lot about his failed opportunity as the interim manager in San Diego as a huge learning situation for him. He went into that situation as a AAA manager. He gets the big league call. This is a really tough roster to try and manage in terms of player personnel. And he walked in and he said, well, I'm going to do it my way. And that did not work out so well. And then you saw the ramifications of it and what transpired in San Diego after the 2015 season. But for Murph, as soon as he stepped into Milwaukee, he's been the same guy. And even though he's the manager, he has more things that are on his plate. He still allows the players to police themselves. And Murph will be the first one to tell you, listen, I get the accolades and I got manager of the year, but my players make me look a lot smarter than I am. And I think there's a lot of truth in that. But I also think he doesn't give himself enough credit. He's a great human being. He's a great baseball mind. He can go on some tangents that are a blast, and you're going, wow, where's this going? I have no idea. So let me tune in a little bit more. But he deserves all the credit that he's getting, and keeping the Brewers train on the tracks this season has, for the first 2 months, has been a Herculean task. And he's done it not just with the wins recently, but he's done it with grace, and he's been able to keep his mentality where it needs to be for this team.
I lied. I have one more quick question, and we're starting to talk about the trade deadline here in San Diego. What are the Brewers, you think? I know it's probably too early to tell where they're going to go, but do you think that they'll be active at the trade deadline this year, trying to acquire some guys to complete this team?
The Brewers have always been aggressive come the trade deadline, especially when they've been in it. They have some flexibility within their payroll. If they needed to add, I'm sure they will. It's just a matter of where they feel like that fit is. And the Brewers have been very consistent in the last decade of making sure they get the right person. It's not just, okay, well, this guy could really help our team, but if he's not going to be good in that clubhouse, it doesn't make sense. So the Brewers are going to be I have a sneaky suspicion that they will be very active in the next 2 months. But who that person is going to be, it's a great question.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jeff. Appreciate you picking up our phone call, even though it looked like a bad number. And hopefully we have a good series ahead.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun. Thanks for having me, guys.
That's Jeff Levering, Milwaukee Brewers broadcaster here on the Braden Surprenant Show, 97.3 The Fan. All right. Thank you so much to Jeff for joining us earlier. Now, we are going to use the last couple minutes of our show to complain. Because I don't know, I actually should have told Frank, but it's time for the Daily Gripe.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right. I haven't done one of these in a long, long time. Frank, do you
got a lot to gripe about then?
Yeah. Before I go, do you want to do you have a gripe in mind that you want to get off your chest?
No. Not at all.
Okay.
I'm good.
My gripe is this, and it's kind of a weird one, but it's trash day for me.
Yeah.
Is Thursday. Or it's Friday morning.
Yeah.
But you have to put out the trash on Thursday night. So forgot it was Thursday. This last week and a half has been like a blur. So I forgot it was Thursday. Started driving down the street last night, and I was like, oh, shoot. There are trash cans. It's Thursday. I absolutely hate taking out the trash. I don't know why. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that far of a walk, but I hate taking out the trash. And I especially hate taking out the trash when something isn't put in the trash correctly.
Yes.
And so I was dragging the trash out, and there was a bag kind of sort of outside of the trash can, and it caught the other side of the trash can. And me being tired, I was just trying to force it through, pulls the bag out, trash everywhere. So, and lucky, all of them were all over it. I had to clean it up at like 9 p.m. last night. It was brutal. I hate trash day so much. But on the other hand, trash day is Friday, which means when I'm putting out the trash, I'm one day closer to Friday. So I try to tell myself that as I'm walking the trash in and out. But that's my daily gripe for today. When the trash just goes everywhere. everywhere. And it wasn't really Lucky's fault this time. I wanted to blame it on him.
Yeah, no, that's your fault one.
Tony says, okay, can you draw this out in a diagram? It's not that hard. I mean, a big trash can that you put on the street. It was the trash can, not the clippings or the recycling. And one of the bags with the red drawstrings got caught on another trash can and pulled out of the trash can and fell all over the ground. So that's what my daily gripe is. And Frank is actually drawing a diagram as we speak right now.
Yeah. So here's Skraby. Here.
It's a stick figure.
There's the trash can with
Yes.
there's the trash bag right there. He started yanking on it like a goober, and then this bag went there, and all the garbage.
I just feel like we
went
watched
out.
John Madden do something on the telestrator.
You're welcome.
All right. Double knot the bag, not a bad idea, M. McKee.
Or just don't pull the bag like an
I
eight.
just wanted to get it done. I thought it was just stuck on the curb or something. All right. Gwen and Chris up next. Thank you to everybody for joining us for the last week and a half. Braden, back on Monday.